Francisco Liriano on the mound tonight for the Blue Jays as they try to take the second game of the quick 2-gamer with the Rays. The field level action cam is brought to you by the Samsung Galaxy S8. Unbox your phone. Kevin Cash's Rays are 6-5 against the Blue Jays this year, and overall the Rays are 3 games over 500 and in third place in the highly competitive American League East Division. Look at the starting lineup tonight, including a guy who has tormented everybody, but maybe the Blue Jays more than most. Corey Dickerson had 4 hits last night. Huge numbers against the Jays so far this season. And Malik Smith, 1 hit last night, a 5-game hit streak since getting called up from the minors his most recent time, and he can really run. The Blue Jays will have to do everything they can to keep him off the base paths.
Francisco Liriano will make his 4th start of the season against Tampa Bay. His season debut did not go well. He faced Tampa Bay down in St. Petersburg and lasted just a third of an inning, his shortest start of his career. But he's thrown the ball much better of late, coming off the disabled list. He had some arm issues, and he went down and got some time off. His shoulder's a lot better, and he should be able to command the strike zone a little bit more consistently than he has in his previous start.
And defensively for the Blue Jays, the one change is that with Ezekiel Carrera going on the DL with that fracture in his foot, Dwight Smith Jr. makes a start tonight.
A former first-round pick, Dwight Smith Jr. has played very well in AAA Buffalo this season. He's hitting over 300 in AAA, and I asked him about the confidence factor. He says, yeah, he said, I struggled the last 2 years in AA, but now I'm not taking the offers as seriously and not pondering over bad games, so I'm anxious to see him play. May get some consistent playing time while Zeke is out of the lineup.
5 outfielders for the Blue Jays are on the DL. Alford, Pompey, Siciliani, Carrera, Pierce. Pierce expected back Friday against the White Sox. Here we go with Francisco Liriano on the mound. Peter Borges, the left fielder, leads it off for the Rays. And we are underway with a pitch in for a called strike. Liriano making his 3rd start since coming off the DL. Had some shoulder inflammation. Smith racing over near the seats, but this one's about 10 rows deep. Each of his first 2 starts, Buck, since coming off the DL, Liriano's gone 5 innings, gave up 2 earned runs to the Yankees, 3 earned runs to Oakland. Positives in the 10 innings, only in quotes 3 walks. That's a better ratio for him than we've seen at other points during the season.
Yeah, he really has to cut down on the number of pitches he throws in each inning. Try to be more efficient. That's a good start for Liriano with the strikeout.
And Martin down to first to complete it.
We talk about being efficient, and that's been a real problem for Francisco all season long. When you look at the pitches per inning, he and Tyler Glasnow of the Pittsburgh Pirates throwing almost 20 pitches an inning, and that's just too many. You want to be around 15 pitches ideally. That'll get you late into a ball game around 100 pitches, but he has to be more efficient. When he throws his pitches over, he can be unhittable.
He strikes out of Borges on 3 pitches to begin the ball game, and here's Dickerson. 15 homers, hit 1 last night, 337 average. He goes after the first pitch, and he skies one down the first baseline, foul territory. Smoke is called off by Goins, who makes the catch, and quickly 2 down for Liriano.
Justin Smoke was the happiest guy in the ballpark when he heard Goins go, I got it, I got it. That was a tall fly ball. And Goins coming over had a much better angle on it, and now you can see Goins is giving it to Smoke. But Smokey's kind of wandering underneath this big pop-up. Please, please, please call for it.
Goins is like that little kid in the schoolyard. He's a little bit smaller than everybody else, but he's got a big voice, a big attitude, and he loves to chirp his own teammates. You see that around the batting cage all the time during batting practice. And Goins getting a chance. That was high. He just said to Tulowitzki, wow, that was high. Still shaking his head. 0-2 quickly on Evan Longoria.
Yeah, this is the type of start that Liriano needs. And the Blue Jays need some consistent starting pitching. It's been a problem for them lately. They had a good series out in Seattle, 7, 7, and 6 innings from their starters. But Liriano, we mentioned how he really enjoys pitching to Russell Martin. He's had his most successful seasons while pitching to Russell. And it's a great image he has in there, and he's got a lot of confidence in what Russell calls.
Little hesitation there by Liriano with a 1-2, misses just outside. Longoria, good numbers in his career against Liriano, 9 for 25, a couple of homers as Liriano works with a catcher with whom, of course, he is very familiar, going back to their days as teammates in Pittsburgh. Longoria wouldn't bite, and it's a full count.
Evan Longoria now in his 10th season, and he has been a terrific player for the Rays, a model of consistency. A great defender and a good clutch hitter.
Got him looking, and Longoria knew it. A terrific start to tonight for Francisco Liriano, getting the Rays in order. As they get set to bat in the bottom of the first. To look at John Gibbons' lineup tonight against Tampa Bay, and a lot of guys who have not hit Jake Odorizzi well. One guy who does have some success against him, Josh Donaldson, 5 for 20, but 4 of the 5, that's the big number, 4 of the 5 hits for Donaldson against Odorizzi are home runs. And Justin Smoke, as hot as anybody, 2 more hits last night, plus a deep fly ball to left field. He continues to put up all-star caliber numbers.
Jake Odorizzi will make the start against the Blue Jays, and one thing that plays in the Blue Jays' favor is the fact that Odorizzi has given up home runs in 8 straight ball games, and everybody knows the Blue Jays count a lot on home runs. This will be his 12th start of the season. Right-handers hitting just .212 against him. He's got a very good fastball. He'll pitch up in the zone with a fastball and a cutter to the right-handers, and he'll throw a curveball and a changeup, plus an occasional split finger pitch.
Kevin Pillar leads it off again. Pillar, one of many Jays, as we mentioned, who's not had great numbers against Odorizzi, although Pillar's are better than a number of his teammates. Collectively, the 9 hitters in the lineup for the Blue Jays tonight, in their careers, are hitting just .156 against Odorizzi. Pillar is at .217, 5 for 23. They've seen him a lot. Obviously, he's been in the division for a few years, but more often than not, Buck, the Blue Jays have not been able to solve this right hand.
Yeah, and I've asked the hitters about what the problem is against Odorizzi. They say he doesn't throw hard, but it's hard to pick up the baseball out of his hand. He hides it very well. He short arms it, and he doesn't have a long arm stroke where you can follow that baseball for a long time. And you can see DeMarlo Hale showing Tulowitzki some of the defensive alignments, I would think, as to where he might want to play some guys and some last-minute adjustments for him. There's that high fastball, and that's the pitch. Although it's just 90 miles an hour, it's a sneaky pitch. It's upstairs, and it gets on you quick because he's a short arm. He basically kind of throws like a catcher, and it comes on you, and it reads 90, but it plays like 95, 96.
He's a sneaky short armer.
A sneaky short armer.
Fair. Well, the Blue Jays, again, familiar with him. A lot of guys with 15, 20, 25 at-bats against him, and Pillar battling hard here in his first at-bat of the night.
Now, you see all of those pitches to Pillar, they're up in the zone. Kevin's a very good high ball hitter. See where those pitches are, all those strikes that he's fouling back. And Odorizzi will now change his eye level occasionally, get him to look down, and then pop him upstairs again.
1-2 again. Wow.
That was a mistake. That was a changeup. It was supposed to be down, and it was up, got away from him, and Pilar fouls it up. So now that really plays into Odorizzi's favor because he thinks that everything has been up. This was supposed to be down. That's that splitter you see. It got away from him. So now he could throw another splitter, throw it down, and he might be able to get a strikeout.
And he sure got Pilar in swing mode right now, trying to protect. Checked it on the appeal. No, he did not. He went around, says first base umpire Brian Gorman, and Pilar strikes out, giving us a chance to check out the defense for the Rays tonight.
Evan Longoria, the third baseman, a two-time Gold Glover in his 10th season. He started 15 double plays. He has terrific instincts. He moves at the crack of the bat. His first step quickness is exceptional. And like his former college teammate Troy Tulowitzki, very accurate with his arm.
Josh Donaldson, the batter, and as we mentioned, 4 of his 5 career hits off Odorizzi are home runs. Donaldson has 8 home runs in limited at bats this year, just 24 games because of his stint on the DL. Good take just below the bottom of the zone, and the count now in Donaldson's favor at 2-0.
I don't think he got that call because that was the first low pitch he'd thrown in this game. That looked like a pretty good pitch, probably a strike. The one challenge that Odorizzi really presents is he throws strikes to the bottom of the zone and strikes above the zone because he'll cause guys to swing at it. Even though it's a ball, they'll swing at it and make it a strike.
See if Donaldson's in the mood to swing here. 3-0 if he gets something he likes. He was, but he swings through it.
That'll cut fastball. It was upstairs, and Donaldson, of course, with the home run success against Odorizzi, not going to take a 3-0 pitch.
Three-one swing and a miss, and now a full count. Jose Bautista waiting on deck. No score, bottom of the first, second game, quick 2-game series, Jays and Rays. The Blue Jays need to start playing better against their division rivals. Just 11-19 against the American League East so far this year. Got a pitch to hit right there, fouled it off.
And you see they're all 88, 89 miles an hour. Nothing really lights up the radar gun because the timing is just off. They don't really pick up the ball out of his hand, as we mentioned. And he's getting some hittable pitches, especially pitch number 6 right in the middle of the zone.
Three-two again, and it runs inside for ball 4.
Jake Odorizzi will throw a wide assortment of pitches depending on what's working on a given night. Still doesn't throw 50% fastballs. He throws a lot of cutters. The split finger grip, he'll throw that splitter a lot, and so far he hasn't been able to get on top of it. It's kind of run into the right-handed hitters instead of down. The only good one he threw was the strikeout to Pilar.
Here's Jose Bautista. Bautista has seen Odorizzi more than any other batter in the Blue Jays lineup. With the shift on again, runner being held, 3 on the left side, huge hole on the right side. Bautista just 3 for 30 in his career against Odorizzi.
Now look at how the second baseman moved back to the first base side of the bag. That was interesting after ball 1. Odorizzi's not even close to having his command yet. The Blue Jays would be well advised to get on him here in this first inning because he hasn't been hitting his spots. Watch where the catcher's glove is and then watch where the ball ends up. He's not exactly zeroed in just yet. There he finally hit the glove.
Credited with 10 strikes of the 17 pitches he's thrown, but 5 or 6 of those probably were balls out of the zone that the Blue Jays swung and missed at or swung and fouled off. 2-1 and taken high. 3-1. Fell behind Donaldson, walked him. Now he's behind Bautista.
I have to correct myself, of course. The catcher doesn't have a glove, he has a mitt. Kevin Cash would remind me of that.
Sneaks a peek at Donaldson over at first. 3-1 to Bautista. Swung on, hit high in the air to center, but not deep at all. And Smith coming in to make the catch for out number 2.
The Honda checkered flag event is back. Hurry in to grab the Civic that matches your game.
Another beautiful day and now evening here in Toronto. Bottom of the first, no score. Dan Shulman to Buck Martinez, Arash Madani, the Blue Jays, and the Rays. With a runner at first, 2 down to the batter, Kendry Morales, one of the few Jays with some good numbers against Odorizzi. He is 4 for 9 in his career against him. There's that splitter that he throws kind of like a changeup, and it winds up in the dirt ball 1.
I asked Morales about his success against Odorizzi. He said, sometimes I hit him good, sometimes I don't. He has just 9 at bats against him, but he's 4 for 9. Of course, he spent most of his career out west. Wasn't in the same division like the Blue Jays hitters who have so many at bats against him.
Rays play him to pull, not a full shift though, and he's going to cross them up with a base hit the other way. Donaldson will round second, then put the brakes on a 2-out base hit by Morales.
Well, there's another hit for Morales against Odorizzi, and it's away from him. He doesn't try to do too much with it. They're playing him in that shift. Anything on the left side of the infield. This is another splitter. And again, it's running. It's not really diving. It just runs across the plane of the bat, and he's able to hit it into left field. The slow motion super slow-mo replay is powered by the Samsung QLED, the next innovation in TV. Boy, it looks so easy when you hit a ball like that and they're in the shift. Say, man, I should do that all the time.
Here's Justin Smoak. 2 men on, 2 men out. And a very hot hitter at the plate trying to give the Blue Jays an early lead. With Smoak the batter, they do go into more of a pronounced shift. The Rays do. 3 infielders on the right side. Smoak using the whole field incredibly well this year, especially to the outfield. Driving balls hard to straightaway center, left center. And you can see the third baseman Longoria. He's got to stay a little bit closer to third because of the presence of Donaldson at second. And Odorizzi, as you mentioned, Buck, does not have as good command so far.
No, not yet. And oftentimes we will see this with starters. They come out trying to get their command, and you can see he's a little frustrated right now because he's only hit his spots 1 or 2 times in this whole inning.
But like you said, this is where
hittable pitches.
Yeah, you got to take advantage, right? Before he gets locked in, they are running his pitch count up, or he's running his own pitch count up. Well, Jake Odorizzi and Derek Norris know very well this is no automatic take on 3-0. The way Smoak's been hitting 2 men on, can't just lay one in there down the middle.
Smoak doesn't like to swing 3-0. He likes to take. He said if they're going to throw me a 3-0 strike, I can hit the 3-1 pitch just as well. Doesn't swing very often.
Just a mindset?
Yeah. He's just not comfortable doing it. He said I'll get over anxious, swing a little bit too hard sometimes. Whereas Donaldson, Bautista, Morales, they're all happy to swing 3-0.
Swung at that one, virtually the same spot, popped it up in foul territory, and Longoria will make the catch down the line. As the Blue Jays cannot capitalize, they'll leave a couple of men on.
Well, what would another day around here be like without somebody going on the disabled list? The latest, Ezequiel Carrera, who showed up at the ballpark on crutches this afternoon. It happened here last night in the 5th inning, fouling that ball off of the foot, a hairline fracture in the right foot. Now, x-rays were negative after the game, but he woke up this morning and could not put any weight on it, and only then did the extra CT scans reveal the fracture. Carrera is actually meeting with a specialist tonight to get further indication of what's next, but for now, no timeline on a return. There is good news here. Barring a setback, Steve Pearce should return Friday, guys, to play left field for the Blue Jays.
It seems like almost every single day the Blue Jays have to announce a roster move. Here's Dwight Smith Jr., who's been called up to take the place of Carrera. Fractured a bone in your foot. Again, more details coming on the severity, but it's not going to be a quick thing. And Carrera, amazingly enough, stayed in the game, had 2 more at-bats, had an RBI single later in the game, but as Arash mentioned, woke up with it feeling much differently this morning. Another loss for the Blue Jays. And in Carrera and Travis, the 2 most recent guys who have gone down with injuries, guys who put the ball in play, things happen, a little more speed, neither one a burner, but both guys with pretty good speed. Both guys who, when they're swinging the bat well, which Travis certainly was in May, and Carrera has pretty consistently this year, they just give the offense a bit of a different feel.
Yeah, they sure do, and it's tough to replace them because they don't have many hitters like them on this roster. And Carrera, he can bunt from time to time. He's got 5 home runs, and he can do some little things that'll help you win games in tight ball games.
Meanwhile, Francisco Liriano looks really sharp in the early going. 4 batters faced, 3 strikeouts.
Yeah, and this is a good way to start. Obviously, for him, he struck out Borges to start the game, and another good idea about how wicked this breaking ball is. And you see Morrison missed it by about a foot. Comes out of his hand in a very, very tight spin. Looks like a fastball, and then just explodes and breaks down and away from those lefty hitters.
5th hitter in the Rays lineup, the big right fielder Steven Souza Jr., hitting .257 with 11 home runs. And he lines it into left center. It is down for a base hit. Cut off shy of the track by Pilar, but still easily into second on the play is Souza with a 1-out double.
His 11th double. That was a very strange line drive. It looked like it was going to hook toward the left fielder a little bit more, but the ball kind of sliced back towards center and just split the outfielders perfectly. When he hits this thing, it looks like it's going to hook a little bit, but then it actually goes back the other way. He got a lot of spin on it. It must have hit down on the barrel a little bit the way it reacted once it was in the air.
So the first base runner of the night for the Rays against Liriano, but now he'll face the center fielder Malik Smith, playing for the injured Kevin Kiermaier. And Smith can do that. He's got great speed. He'll drop a bunt down for a base hit. That's not any kind of a sacrifice, obviously, with a runner at first. He was thinking about trying to bunt for a base hit. Donaldson well aware. Smoke at first as well. They're in on the corners. And this is where the Rays can try to make some things happen. Interesting spot, Buck, to have him in the lineup. You usually see a guy like this 1, 2, 8, 9, not hitting in the 6th spot.
Well, the reason he's down in the 6th spot is Kevin Cash wanted Peter Borges at the top of the order, a right-handed bat, to start this lineup against Liriano. Borges is 9 for 35. He's had a lot of at-bats against Liriano.
He pops it up for out number 2. Well, he was bound and determined to try to get a bunt down for a base hit, but could not execute.
Yeah, he really works every day on his bunting. This time he gets underneath it and pops it in the air. An easy play for Donaldson. Kind of curious, and you know, against the tough lefty, probably feels he has a better chance of getting the ball down. Now he's going to get a little visit from the 10-year veteran Evan Longoria. Got a runner in scoring position. Go ahead and take a shot. Flare it into the outfield. So Longoria not going to let that slip. And just remind the youngster, hey, there's a guy out there in scoring position. Take your hacks.
2 down now for the shortstop, Daniel Robertson.
That is so much better than a coach or a manager saying something to a player. When you have your star player, just gather you over and say, hey, just think about this now. You got a chance to drive in a run. And
You're going back for more.
Yeah, and he's just going to explain it. Hey,
Yeah.
I'm just here telling you what I think, and you can swing the bat too.
And Smith doing the right thing, nodding and listening. And remember the notes that he makes after every at bat. He's going to write down, didn't get the bunt down, and got lectured by Evan Longoria. We'll make some notes on Francisco Liriano.
Yeah, it's just a situational thing. Early in the ball game, obviously, maybe 7th, 8th, 9th inning, you might take a different approach. But in the early stages of the ball game, he's never hit Liriano. Liriano's never pitched against him, so you go ahead and let him swing. Might hit one off the end of the bat, might flare one into the outfield. Jamie Nelson is the assistant hitting coach. He works alongside Chad Mottola, and they all work together. Of course, Longoria is the veteran of this team. He's got a big voice.
And the learning curve continues for a young player like Malik Smith as Kevin Cash and the rest of the Rays Brain Trust looks on. Martin to the mound to talk with Liriano. Maybe going to change the signs up a little bit with Souza out at second base. In the air to right field. Should it be routine for Bautista? And it is to end the inning. We'll go to the bottom of the second. No score at Rogers Center. Today, to the surprise of no one, the guys who are typically smiling and trying to keep people loose are doing that. Josh Donaldson's got Russell Martin in stitches. Troy Tulowitzki's behaving himself. And then somebody says, Troy, smile. It's a picture. Give us a smile. So Tulo will smile. And then Donaldson's getting all over him. Tulowitzki saying, come on, man. I'm trying to be a grown-up here and do what I'm told to do during the picture. And Donaldson and Martin are still messing with each other as they come off the field.
Russell said, hey, Josh, the picture's over.
Yeah. You can unfreeze that smile.
Picture day, it was always a blast. Everybody getting on each other, and certainly guys want to stand next to other guys to make them look good.
Bottom of the second, no score at Rogers Center between the Rays and the Blue Jays. Jake Odorizzi threw 26 pitches in the first inning. Blue Jays could not take advantage. Some deep counts. They left a couple of men on. And it'll be Tulowitzki, Martin, and Dwight Smith Jr. here in the second.
Again, 89 miles an hour. Up in this zone, a very hittable pitch, and it's fouled back. It's just a timing issue, and the hitter's timing is just off ever so slightly.
And that sneakiness, as you described it, that short arm motion, I mean, that's just kind of his natural way of throwing. You can't teach deception, right? You either have it or you don't.
Same spot. Now, if he were to get that pitch down a little bit lower, then all of a sudden it becomes a little more hittable, but he's pitching up there by design. Now he'll throw that splitter and try to get it down and in, and once he goes away with his fastball, another pitch in the same spot. Three identical pitches.
And hit pretty well to right field, but running it down is Souza, edge of the track for the first out.
Hit a home run with any project this season. Home Hardware, proud sponsor of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Blue Jays in the midst of a homestand this week. The Chicago White Sox are in town over the weekend. Day off for the Jays tomorrow before the White Sox get to town. Jake Odorizzi on the mound for the Rays. Scoreless game, bottom 2, and the batter is the catcher Russell Martin. It's got to be one of these guys, whether you're Tulowitzki or Martin or Bautista, the guys who have struggled against Odorizzi. I would imagine as hitters, Buck, they go back to the dugout kind of shaking their hands, saying to themselves, man, I should be on this. I just can't see it as clearly as I want to.
Now, it's one of those guys that you go back to the dugout and said, I'll get you next time. I'll get you next time. That stuff's not that good. But he's a guy that makes you talk to yourself. Bautista just 3 for 31. And, you know, obviously he's a very good hitter. But Odorizzi is pitching to his strengths, and that's upstairs. Kind of like Marco Estrada. When Marco is on, he can locate that fastball upstairs. J. Happ does the same thing with a high fastball.
3-0 green light Martin, and he skies one on the infield. Man, we have seen 2 pop-ups tonight that are way up there. Robertson the catch, 2 down.
There are so many different ways to get hitters out, and when you look at the lowest opponent's batting average against the Blue Jays with a minimum of 70 innings, Nolan Ryan is there at the top. He's the leader, 187. Everybody knows that Nolan threw a great fastball. Now then there's Jake Odorizzi. 190 opponent's average for his career against the Blue Jays. He's ahead of Eldred, Michael Norris, and Alex Fernandez. But Odorizzi, he will pitch right at 90 miles an hour. And, you know, Nolan was up over 100, and he had a great curveball, threw a good changeup, and he was mean. It knocked you
Other
down.
than that.
Yeah.
And he struck out like 5,700 guys in his career.
Yeah, and you know what? If you took a good swing at him, it'd knock you down.
Yep. Here's Dwight Smith Jr. in the big leagues because of Carrera being on the DL. As we mentioned a little bit earlier, he is 1 for 4 in his career. First time he has played here at Rogers Center.
This is going to be interesting to see how Odorizzi attacks Dwight Smith Jr. Never seen him before, and he's going to throw him a lot of those splitters. That's generally the lack of discipline young hitters have. Bounced up the middle.
A base hit for Smith. Well, you've learned a lot about him. You've seen him in the regular season and in the spring. Carrera playing cheerleader right now with the injured foot. What do you like about Smith?
He's getting better and better. He told me today that I've hit 300 in Buffalo this year, and here's that splitter. He is able to stay on and get a base hit, his second big league hit, and it's a pretty good pitch. But he said the last 2 years prior to this season, I was in Double-A and I struggled. And I would really wear every offer. I'd take it home with me and worry about it the next day. He said, this year, I've not done that. I've kind of freed my mind up a little bit. And now he's just taking the games in stride, saying, I'm just going to enjoy each and every game, no matter what the results are.
Ryan Goins, the batter, shows bunt, and he takes outside, ball 1. Tim Leeper down at third again. Derek Shelton at first, as we mentioned last night. One of Luis Rivera's kids graduating this week, so he is not with the team again tonight.
That's pretty close. Logan Morrison wants the dugout to look at that tag play. Smith had 5 steals in AAA. He was caught 3 times, and they're taking a look at that tag over at first. And it looks like they've decided to wave it off. But he runs okay, and he had a big lead, and Odorizzi's got a quick move to first.
Smith with as many as 25 stolen bases in a minor league season. He did that at Lansing back in 2013. Draws another throw.
Derek Norris has not thrown well this year, the catcher for Tampa Bay. He's caught just 5 of 35, and the Blue Jays might say, you know what, let's use the speed we have on the bases now, especially with 2 outs. Take a shot, see if you can't steal a bag here and get somebody in scoring position.
Yep, number 9 hitter up.
Blue Jays don't have an awful lot of speed in their lineup, and just the fact that Odorizzi's made a couple of throws, takes a little bit of his focus away from the hitter, Ryan Goins.
One and two.
Much better quality of pitches for Odorizzi in the second inning.
Third time this year that Odorizzi has faced the Blue Jays. Pitched well in each of the first two. Faced the Blue Jays on April the 9th, his second start of the season down in St. Petersburg. Went 6 innings, gave up 2 runs on just 2 hits. Picked up the win, and then he faced the Blue Jays again down at the Trop May the 6th. Went 7 innings, gave up just 1 run on 3 hits, picked up the win again. So first 2 starts, only 5 hits for the Blue Jays and 13 innings off him. Jones will get his hacks in. If you had to pick a talker and a listener in that relationship, that's an easy one, isn't it?
Well, you know what? And Marcus is so inquisitive, and he just wants to check out what Tulowitzki's looking for, maybe what Longoria is doing on defense, what he might think about at the plate, different things that he can pick Tulo's brain.
They are getting Odorizzi's pitch count up to 42 now as he works here with 2 down in the second. His pitching coach Jim Hickey looks on for the Rays dugout. Kevin Cash got a little more gray in those sideburns than he did a couple of years ago when he became a manager, huh?
It doesn't take long.
Yeah.
Couple of seasons as a manager, your hair will go white.
Good take there and a full count. And now Smith will be on the move. Pilar on deck should the inning continue. Well, you saw a bunch of fastballs, then you saw a splitter that missed. So does that mean that Odorizzi's got to go back to the fastball here, 3-2?
Yeah, he probably will throw him a fastball.
Norris wants it, and he wants it away. There goes the runner, and popped up by Goins. Longoria there, and that's the inning. Blue Jays leave another man on. They've left 3 men on through 2, scoreless here at Rogers Center.
Days on Sportsnet. Presented by Honda. At the Checkered Flag event, you'll measure your heart rate in RPMs.
We go top three on a gorgeous night here in Southern Ontario. No score between the Rays and the Blue Jays. Francisco Liriano and Jake Odorizzi, the pitching matchup tonight. And it'll be 8-9-1 for Tampa Bay. Derek Norris, Taylor Featherston, and Peter Borges against Liriano, who through 2 innings, Buck, has looked really good. He's given up 1 hit, a double to Souza, has not walked a batter, has struck out 3, and has been very efficient with his pitches.
Yeah, he has really had a good release point in this game to start, and if he can continue to repeat his delivery, he should be able to extend this outing.
And he might get an out on 1 pitch here. Going back, Goins, coming in Bautista to make the catch. 1 down. Gives us a chance to get an update with Jamie Campbell. Yeah, the first 2 games, it's one of those 2-2, 4 games in a row, but 2 in Boston, then 2 in Philly. The Red Sox walked it off in extra innings each of the last 2 nights, but they are out early tonight with a 5-0 lead on the Phillies, who are 21-42. You were mentioning during the break, Buck, looking at some of the other games, that Anthony Rizzo, for the 2nd night in a row, Joe Maddon's trying to change the offense. They've been struggling. He put Rizzo in the leadoff spot. Kind of like when Bautista went in the leadoff spot last year for the Blue Jays. And Rizzo has homered to lead off the game both nights that he has been the leadoff hitter.
Yeah, it's really been a spark for them, and everybody's kind of looking for any spark they can come up with. And Don Mattingly has moved Giancarlo Stanton into the 2 spot, and since he's done that, the Marlins have played very well. So everybody's just looking to improve their club however they might.
To his right, Goins bobbles, throws, and will not get him. Lost the handle trying to transfer it from the glove to the bare hand.
For Goins, that will be his first error at second, his 4th error of the season. He's playing just for the 8th start at second base and had plenty of time. He just went into his glove and didn't come up with it cleanly. He's got great range to both sides, and here he goes to his right, backhands it. When he goes in to get the ball out of his glove, he can't find the handle.
So the error allows Featherston to reach with a 1 out and back to the top of the order for Peter Borges. Liriano struck Borges out on 3 pitches back in the 1st inning. 3rd start since coming off the DL, as we mentioned, 5 innings in each of the first 2, 81 pitches against the Yankees, 92 against the A's. Bunted foul.
Borges has always been a very good bunter. He will bunt for base hits and bunted both sides. Bunted up the first baseline. With the left-hander, he's going to try to push it up the first baseline as the left-hander falls off toward the 3rd baseline. But he's always been a very good bunter. He's got good speed.
Good outfielder as well. There was a time when he was an Angel, which is how he started his career. He was in center and Trout was in left at the beginning. Borges, a superior defensive outfielder. He's been an Angel, a Cardinal, a Philly, and now this is his 1st year with Tampa Bay. Really had 1 really good season. Established himself in his 2nd year in 2011. Hit .271, 11 triples, 26 doubles, 22 steals, but never could quite recreate it. Had some injuries along the way. Started bouncing around from team to team, and really has been, for the most part, a part-time player the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, and he's got some Blue Jay connections. His dad was a longtime scout for the Blue Jays, Chris Borges, and he was involved in that Pat Gillick era.
Chopped up the 3rd baseline, and nothing that Donaldson can do with that. That'll be an infield hit. So on an error and a swinging bunt, Tampa Bay's got 2 men on.
Yeah, and that's bad news for the Blue Jays, because that'll bring Corey Dickerson to the plate, and he is as hot as anybody right now. But Featherston hit a ground ball. Goins made an error on it, and you can't do anything about this. Donaldson knew immediately, once this gets on that turf, he's going to have to let it roll and just hope it goes foul. But as long as it stays on this artificial turf, it doesn't get on dirt, chances are it's going to stay fair. And Donaldson sees it bounce back onto the turf, and all he can do is watch it roll to a stop.
And as Buck mentioned, now into the meat of the order. 2 men on with a 1 out for Corey Dickerson. Dickerson, the guy who hit that sky-high pop-up a ways down the right field line. Smoke gave way to Goins at the last moment, and Goins made the catch. All kinds of power for Tampa Bay. Good offensive team this year. Second in the majors in home runs, behind only the Yankees. And of the 102 they've got as a team this year, this guy Dickerson's got 15 of them. And he drives the ball to right center field, and it's going to get all the way to the wall on a bounce. This will score 1 for sure. Borges around third. He will score, and it'll be a triple for Dickerson as Tampa Bay takes a 2-0 lead.
Now you open up the gates by committing an error, and then you get an infield hit, and you bring the hottest hitter on their team to the plate. It's going to cost you. Corey Dickerson, it's his 3rd triple of the season. He drives home 2 runs. The Goins there started it, and then the swinging bunt by Borges. Just a 2-seam fastball, but he stays on the ball so well. Watch his hit. He stays right on it and drives it past Bautista all the way to the wall in right center. And this guy is having a big year, and as soon as he hits it, he's thinking 2, maybe 3. And once it's played off the wall, he is around second easily after driving home both Featherston and Borges.
Infield is in. Donaldson coming home with the throw, and the tag is in time.
Not a bad gamble by Tampa Bay, because Donaldson had to go far to his left to field that ground ball off Longoria's bat. Then he had to turn his body around to make a good throw to Martin. Watch how far Donaldson has to go to get this ball. Then he has to turn around and make a good throw to Martin, who swipes the tag on Dickerson. That's a long way to go to come back and make a good throw, but Martin dives into the base runner and tags out Dickerson.
So 2 down, and Longoria aboard on the fielder's choice, which will bring up Logan Morrison. So an error, an infield hit, a triple, score a couple. And Liriano trying to make sure it's no worse than that. Morrison struck out his first time up. Fouled off, got a piece of Martin, I think, and it's 1-1. Other teams in the division, Jamie mentioned that the Red Sox are out early, leading Philadelphia 5-0. The Orioles will get started in about 15 minutes in Chicago. Baltimore under the 500 mark right now. Their losing streak continued last night. And then the Yankees are out in Anaheim again tonight to take on the Angels. Two and 1.
This is where Liriano really has to focus on making the good pitch. He's made good pitches this entire inning, except for maybe the Dickerson triple. But you just got to keep thinking about that first 2 innings and how well you threw the ball, stayed ahead of the hitters, and you had no problems at all.
Buck, you remember Darren Baker, Dusty's son?
Yep.
Remember at the plate, JT Snow kind of saving him when he went out to get the bat. Darren was what, 3-4 years old, I think, at the time. The Washington Nationals, managed by Dusty Baker, just selected Darren Baker in the 27th round of the draft. He's an 18-year-old short. We're getting old. He's 18 now. Little Darren Baker's 18. Shortstop in Sacramento, your neck of the woods, way back when. And Darren Baker just got drafted.
He's not going to sign. He's going to go to Cal.
Yep.
He's got a scholarship to play baseball at Cal, and I think Dusty will encourage him to do that.
He was taken 1 round later than his dad was. Dusty was a 26th round pick in 1967 by the Atlanta Braves. That turned out pretty well. He was a terrific big league player. Swing and a miss by Morrison to end the inning. 4 strikeouts now for Liriano. But it's a costly inning. 2 runs across for the Rays.
Center are the official team shops for your Toronto Blue Jays. Authentic alternate red cap and jerseys are available now. You can get yours today at select Jays Shop locations or at jaysshop.ca. By the way, fellas, you guys remember what happened yesterday? Yasiel Puig, obscene gesture in Cleveland. He has received a 1-game suspension and a fine, but Puig is appealing it, so he will play tonight in the series against Cleveland.
All right, Arash, thank you. The picture's pretty clear, and he talked about it after, and he basically said, hey, they were getting on me, and kind of everybody's got their breaking point, and it is what it is. So, but he gets suspended for a game. I was just as interested in the condo that guy was living in, up over the seats on the third base side, and able to look into the ballpark and watch a baseball game from his balcony.
Yeah, it's pretty good sight line for sure. Of course, you got to have the roof open. It doesn't do you much good if the roof's not open, but he got his jersey on, and
that's awesome.
Pretty good vantage point.
Yep. One and one on Kevin Pillar. Takes just outside, says Ron Culpa. 2 balls and a strike. It'll be Pillar, Donaldson, and Bautista against right-hander Jake Odorizzi. And that's on the edge, says Culpa. 2-2.
In the first at bat against Pillar, everything was up. He threw all those fastballs up to Pillar and eventually struck him out on that splitter down and in. Missed with that one up too. That got away from him.
Beauty Tone, Canada's color experts, available exclusively at Home Hardware and Building Center locations. We told the story last night about Pillar with the signing bonus, 32nd round pick. He was offered $1,000. He tried to get $2,000. They said take it or leave it, $1,000. So he took the $1,000, and of course he's gone on to a big league career. And I told him around the cage before the game today. I said thanks for the story. Kind of fun little story. We told it last night. Josh Donaldson steps in here, but Kevin had a little more to the story. He said he didn't ask me what I did with my signing bonus. I said, all right, well, give me that. We'll have something for tonight. He said, well, you know, they take some taxes out, so if it's $1,000, you don't actually get $1,000. He said, so I wanted to go out and buy an iPhone. I didn't have an iPhone at that point in time. He said I didn't have enough money for it, so I used up my whole bonus and had to go borrow a little bit of money from family on top of my bonus, and he bought himself an iPhone.
Well, he was going to be away from home, so he needed some way to communicate with his family.
So that's life as a 32nd round pick, that moment where you get drafted. And he put his right into a phone. He didn't take the quote usual or typical way, if there is such a thing, to the big leagues in many different respects.
No, he had to make it every step of the way, and they probably just signed him as a filler, just a guy that was going to be on the roster of different teams. And be kind of an organizational player. When you get drafted in the 30th round, that's pretty much what they think of you. Well, he'll be a nice player. He plays hard. He knows how to play. He'll do it the right way. I don't know that anybody projected him to be a major league player when you're drafted that late in the draft.
.30 at the knees, inside corner for a strike. 3-1. Odorizzi's been behind more hitters than he's been ahead of. Jim Hickey and Kevin Cash have seen a lot of deep counts. Blue Jays have had now 4 base runners on against him through the first 10 men that he's faced, but they haven't been able to get that one big hit.
Malik Smith in center, not really sure where they want him to play. He has been walking around all over in center field. Now he's looking at Peter Borges in left field, and now he's walking back more to straight center. You've got Souza telling him one thing and Borges telling him another thing. Just reach in the back of that pocket and get your scatter report out. Rocco Baldelli, first base coach in charge of the outfielders.
Let's see if the Blue Jays start the runner here with a full count. pretty good speed at first. He's going. Swing and a miss by Donaldson. Throw down on the bounce. Skips into center field. Pilar back to his feet and on his way to third.
Well, that's 6 errors for the catcher, Derek Norris. So we talk about the fact he's only thrown out 5 of 36 base stealers, and he bounces it into dirt short of second. It bounces into center for the air. 10th stolen base for Pilar. Then he moves over to third. So Donaldson strikes out, and Norris not getting to his feet. It's well short of the mark. He goes into center, and Pilar quickly up and over to third. Not much a middle infielder can do with a throw that far off, because he's got to contend with the sliding base runner, trying to take the short hop, and it got away from Featherston.
So stolen a base, E2. Rays will play the infield back. They'll concede a run on a ground ball by Bautista. And a curveball in there on the first pitch.
First time we've seen that tonight, but he's able to get ahead of Jose.
Misses up and away, and it's a ball and a strike.
No, you got to get this run in. You're down by 2 already. You can answer those 2 runs the top half of the inning. The ball middle of the infield will score a run. Of course, the fly ball to the outfield will likely score a run as well.
Bautista with a fly ball to center his first time up, and Odorizzi again falls behind. 2 balls and a strike. He's at 59 pitches already through 2 1/3. He's been kind of walking a fine line for most of his outing so far. 3-1.
Yeah, he really hasn't had good command throughout the course of this game early on. And you can see it's frustrating for him and frustrating for the manager and the pitching coach. I'll force him to drink.
Pilar down the line at third, just 1 out here in the bottom of the 3rd. Big cut and a foul back by Jose. Full count. Kendry Morales on deck. Blue Jays were held to 1 run last night in an 8-1 loss, and they're down 2-0 in the 3rd here tonight. Rays are hot. They've won 6 out of 7.
They've scored a lot of runs lately too. They've scored 44 runs in the last 7 games, including 14 home runs. And then of course they come in here tonight and get a 2-run triple from Corey Dickerson. Top half of this inning.
Bautista trying to put something in play and to bring home Pilar. Outside. Appeal, no swing. Bautista down to first, ball 4. Runners on the corners for Morales.
Jose continues to rack up the base on balls. He's got a unique ability to lay off those borderline pitches. That's his 39th walk this season, and that's going to bring the pitching coach Jim Hickey out. Hickey does all the game planning for his pitching staff, and he'll break down video of the Blue Jays hitters and try to give them an idea of how he can get them out. So right now Hickey's giving Odorizzi some options, saying, listen, you haven't been able to spot your fastball very well. You threw a curveball for a strike to Bautista, so maybe you should try to do that. That's been a good pitch against Kendry Morales lately. A lot of pitchers have thrown him a lot of curveballs in his at-bats recently, batting left-handed.
The difficulty with someone like Morales, as productive as he can be, is just about any ball on the ground is a double play. He has grounded into 12 double plays already this season. That's tied for the most in the big leagues.
And first of all, he doesn't run well, but secondly, hits the ball sharply a lot, and it'll get to those infielders quickly.
Base hit to left his first time up. Because of the presence of the base runners now, the defense is set up a little bit differently here this time around. Again, the Blue Jays with a great chance to get on the scoreboard. Norris racing it back to the screen. No play. Morales shaking his head. He went after a curveball that was not a strike, in on his hands, maybe a little over anxious.
But that was the scouting report that Jim Hickey had put together. And Morales has gotten a steady diet of those curveballs from right-handed pitchers lately, and that one got Odorizzi a foul ball strike. And throwing the splitter here.
And a ground ball. There's one. Back to first. Not in time. Not hit that hard. Fielder's choice, RBI, and the Blue Jays on the board.
Well, Morales really putting in the effort to get down to first, and he's had some hamstring problems earlier in the season, and he put everything he had into that run down the first baseline, picked up an RBI. As the Blue Jays are able to take advantage of the error by the catcher, so errors have factored into the scoring for both teams.
It was more the way he walked back to first after that made both of us look at him and say, I wonder if there's something going on here. Beat it by about a step, but he appears to be okay. Nobody's coming out to talk to him. He's taken his lead. He's rewarded with his 35th RBI of the season, and the Blue Jays have cut the deficit to 1. Now Smoke pops one up. Second time tonight for Longoria in foul territory. Just like that, the inning is over. But the Blue Jays do manage to pick up a run without the benefit of a base hit.
Tomorrow, you can vote for Kevin Pillar, you can vote for Justin Smoke, you can vote for whatever Toronto Blue Jay you want for the 2017 All-Star Game with the Esurance MLB All-Star Game ballot. You can vote at bluejays.com/vote, and the game, the 88th Midsummer Classic presented by MasterCard, goes July 11th on Sportsnet. Dan.
Arash, thank you. Top 4. Rays 2, Blue Jays 1. Steven Souza Jr. fouls off the first pitch that he sees from Francisco Liriano. The Major League Draft is continuing today. Started with round 11. I can see 9 more picks made by the Jays, 11 through 19. Of the 9 they've made today, Buck, 6 of them are pitchers.
You never have enough pitching, that's for sure. That's a pretty good pitch. He didn't get to call on the inside fastball. Quite a mix of high school and college players. A real large number of college pitchers. Guys that you project to be a little closer to the big leagues.
Souza, Smith, and Robertson, 5, 6, and 7 in the Rays lineup coming up here in the fourth against Liriano. Souza with a double to left center his first time up. Over the weekend, when the White Sox come to town, the Blue Jays will have Joe Biagini, Marcus Stroman, and Jay Happ on the mound in that 3-game series. And the Blue Jays will see 2 lefties in that series. Jose Quintana on Friday, Derek Holland, who's having a pretty nice season, on Sunday, and that's why it's nice for them to potentially get Steve Pearce back. He figures to get a couple of starts against the lefties. Jay Happ much better his last time out, second start since coming off the DL, and he'll get the Sunday afternoon start as Liriano frustrated as he loses Souza.
Yeah, that rotation you were talking about, those are the same 3 pitchers that pitched in Seattle, and Biagini, Stroman, they both went 7 innings. Happ went 6 innings. It was a good weekend for the starters. Hopefully they'll be able to continue that.
Alex Smith tried to bunt for a base hit his last time up, and he popped it up to third. He's going to try it again. He's going to bring it with him up the first baseline. Got to hurry, and they will not get him.
Boy, that's a terrific bunt. Marlo Hale is going to check with the video review board inside and see what they think. But Alex Smith dropped a perfect bunt just inside the first baseline, and Smoke, by the time he turned and fired the Goins, it was too late. He showed bunt the first time up and popped up to Donaldson. This time up, he just takes it up the line, and you can see it's a foot race. He can really run, and he is safe. There's no doubt about it. He really stretches out and beats the throw to first base, and he's over the bag by the time Goins even catches it.
There aren't many guys like this around anymore. Guys who make their living almost entirely on speed. Now runner going for third, and safe at third is Souza. Showing bunt was Robertson, and Souza sneaks to third.
That's a heads-up play by Souza, because I don't think that was a set play. I think when he saw Donaldson come in to protect against the bunt, look at him looking at Donaldson, and he saw Donaldson in and then knew that it was a matter of whether or not he could beat Donaldson back to the bag. Souza takes off as Liriano's delivering the pitch. That's just a heads-up base running play by Steven Souza. He had his eye on Donaldson and saw that he was in guarding against a possible bunt.
So the Rays threatening big time here in the fourth inning. First and third, nobody out. And of course, Smith is a threat at first right now. And he'll draw another throw.
7 for 7 in stolen bases already, and he can run. When you have speed like Smith, the Billy Hamilton, any of those real speedsters, it changes the whole game for the defense. Everybody is on edge now. The pitcher's on edge, and he almost threw that one away. Russell Martin's thinking, man, I got to get rid of it quickly to throw him out. The infielders have to shorten up on defense. That takes away their infield range, so speed changes every aspect of the defensive play.
And this is where an analytics certainly provide a lot to baseball, and they've changed it, the way that people look at it. But are there certain things that, as great as the numbers can be, they can't tell you? This situation right here, Liriano almost throwing the ball away, his attention to being divided, those kinds of things.
Because the stolen base has been de-emphasized, and there aren't many guys around that can run like Alex Smith or Billy Hamilton, and they create havoc. They make Liriano throw with a slide step. He's out of his rhythm, and the entire defense, they're on edge now because of the speed at first base.
So last inning, it was an error and a swinging bunt for a base hit that started the trouble for Liriano. In this inning, it's a walk and a bunt single, and now the distraction of being caused by Smith. trying to battle back against Robertson. 3 balls and a strike.
I think if you're going to build a baseball team, you have to build a multi-dimensional team. You can't play baseball one way. You can't rely all on home runs. You can't rely all on speed. You have to have multifaceted players that can do a little bit of everything.
3-2.
You see players like Francisco Lindor and Carlos Correa and the younger players with speed. They have good defensive skills. They have good bats. Xander Bogaerts, another one. Mookie Betts. Those younger players with a lot of energy. They energize the style of game that you play. Steven Souza had a big stolen base just because he was anticipating the possibility that Donaldson might be out of position.
Ball 4. 2 walks in the inning issued by Liriano when the bases are loaded. And that'll bring Pete Walker out.
Available Honda Sensing in the all-new 2017 CR-V, designed to help keep you safe wherever you play. Honda, proud fan since 1977 and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Probably a little bit breezy up there right now because it's a little bit breezy inside the ballpark. It's cooled off. Still a beautiful night. Folks up there on the CN Tower looking down above the ballpark, and even from way up there they might be able to see that the Rays have the bases loaded right now. Derek Norris is the batter. A walk, a bunt single, another walk, and Tampa Bay looking for a big hit to increase its lead here in the 4th inning. Liriano's going to have to do some serious pitching to get out of this. First 2 innings were really good for Liriano. First inning was great. 3 up, 3 down, couple of strikeouts. Second inning he surrendered a 1-out double. That's it. Third inning got the first out, then the error by Goins, the swinging bunt, and then Dickerson with a 2-run triple. And now Pete Walker's on the phone. Remember, with Estrada not going very deep into the ball game last night, a lot of arms were used out of the pen. And this is the other side of Liriano, the guy who loses his command and has trouble getting it back.
Estrada went just 3 1/3 last night, so the bullpen had to step up and give them a good outing. And that's the one aspect that the Blue Jays have been missing lately, the consistency in their starting rotation.
Hooked foul down the line. Danny Barnes not yet throwing, doing kind of a towel drill out there. Last night Leone, Beliveau, Grilli, and Loop were all used, but now Barnes, who of course generally pitches later in a game and when the Blue Jays are leading, given the way his role has changed this year with how well he's pitched, he is up here in the 4th inning tonight. That's fair ball. Coming home for 1, and that's all they'll get, but they will get the force at the plate.
Donaldson made a good play there. Souza kind of got in between Donaldson and home plate, but he was able to make a clean throw to Russell Martin to get the runner coming home. That forces Souza at the plate. Watch where Souza is at third. He's going to run back to the base. The ball is in fair territory, so he's out easily. Martin looks around for a second possibility and has no option. But Souza broke back on that ball and the bases were loaded, but Martin says, you know what, I had nowhere else to go. Just didn't have enough time to get a double play.
So there's the first out. It's a tricky play for a third baseman because in a split second you got to decide, do I throw home? Do I run to third, step on third, try to get the double play by going across the diamond, but then you give up a run on the play?
I think he made the right play because it wasn't that sharply hit. Go ahead and take that sure out and keep them from scoring. And now the double play gets you out of the inning.
So that tap of the chest by Martin at the end of the play, as if he were saying, I should have thrown to third, and Smith wasn't running. That was the issue. Smith did not break from second. Now the ball's on the ground. He's got to be running.
Yeah, it's a force out.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
They had a shot at third.
High drive to deep left center field. Pilar makes the catch. A run will score on the sac fly. Smith is in. Robertson to third. Norris back to first. 3-1 Tampa Bay.
Well, Featherston hit the home run last night. Picks up a sac fly here in the fourth inning. And they cash in that run. A couple of walks have factored into Tampa Bay scoring a run here.
Barnes continues to throw out of the bullpen for the Blue Jays. Tampa Bay now leading 3-1, and here's Borges, who has struck out and had an infield hit. Good movement on that pitch, and it's 0-1. I don't know if Smith thought the ball was foul, so he didn't run, or what the situation was, but it nearly cost the Rays.
And Russell's instinctive look is to first base. After the batter hits it, you think, if I have a chance for two, it's going to be to first base. But because Smith didn't break, they had a better shot at third. But that's not normally where a catcher would anticipate his second out is going to be.
Little low, 2-1. Well, this is big for Liriano to get Borges, prevent the Rays from adding to the lead. Dickerson is on deck. You don't want to see him with the men on. He had a 2-run triple his last time up. Morrison Smith still talking it over in the dugout. Waving at it is Borges. 2-2. That's the guy you want to keep right there. Make him lead off the next inning if you're the Blue Jays. And more notes from Alex Smith after
Ground ball run.
Got him. Liriano strikes out Borges. The Rays get one and now lead 3-1.
Comfort Zone are guests from one of TD's community partners, and go deeper into the world of sports with details and analysis you can't get anywhere else. Sportsnet Central weeknights. After the game tonight, it's Ken Reed and Brendan Dunlop. They'll be showing those wild pictures from the parade in downtown Pittsburgh today. An estimated 650,000 Penguins fans showed up for it.
And did I see that last night Sidney Crosby threw out the first pitch of the Pirates game with the cup out at the mound, holding the cup as he threw out the first pitch? That must have been all kinds of fun for Penguin/Pirate fans. Troy Tulowitzki leads off the bottom of the fourth. Blue Jays are down 3-1. It'll be Tulo, Russell Martin, and Dwight Smith Jr. Tulowitzki flying out to right his first time up. Driven to right field again, and Souza back again. Twice Tulowitzki's hit the ball pretty well to right, but he's got nothing to show for it.
Super Slow-Mo Cam. Brought to you by the Samsung QLED, the next innovation in TV.
Russell Martin will be the batter now. Popped up his first time up as he bats here with the one out in the bottom of the fourth inning. Blue Jays being out hit 4-2. Each team has committed an error. Each team has left 4 men on so far. Hard hit ball, but to the shortstop Robertson for out number 2.
Russell's starting to swing the bat much more consistently. He's had a couple of good at bats in these last 2 games, and that ball was hit right on the line, but back to the shortstop. So Tulowitzki and Martin, a couple of line drives here in the fourth.
The batter now Smith. He's got one of the 2 Blue Jay hits. Bounced one up the middle for a base hit back in the second inning. Now 2 for 5 in his big league career.
Dwight hit .303 in AAA Buffalo. Had 10 doubles, 6 homers, 27 RBIs in his 55 games.
Dad had a pretty good career. Broke in as a Cub in 1989 and was the runner-up for Rookie of the Year that year to a teammate of his, Jerome Walton. That year as a 25-year-old rookie. Dwight Smith Sr. hit .324, and he would spend 8 years in the big leagues with the Cubs, Angels, Orioles, and Braves. Big cut there, 1 and 2.
Now, when Junior made his debut in Atlanta, his mom and dad and a couple of sisters were there in Atlanta. Got to see his first big league game, and then he picked up his first hit in Milwaukee. This is his first opportunity to play here at Rogers Center.
And again, as you said, he might get a pretty good look, at least against right-handed pitching. With Carrera out, it would seem indefinitely. Got a fracture in his foot. Two.
Pretty good pitch. That cutter looked like it caught the bottom of the strike zone, but it's called a ball. Now it's a full count.
Goins on deck if Smith can get aboard. But he cannot. Takes a fastball down the middle. And that will end the inning. 3-1 Rays at the end of 4. Time now for an update. Here are Jamie Campbell and Kevin Barker in the Samsung broadcast studio. the WestJet, they don't overbook their flights. Now time for the schedule ahead. Brought to you by WestJet. Jamie and Kevin, we're talking about the White Sox coming to town on the weekend. And then the Blue Jays head back out on the road, and they will head to Arlington for a 4-game series before taking on the Royals next weekend.
White Sox 28-35, and they have lost they've won 4 of their last 10 games. So it's going to be an interesting little test. Texas, of course, they always play the Blue Jays tough. Kansas City having an up and down season as well. They're 29-34. Texas an even 500 at 32-32.
And not that far away after that stretch of schedule. It gets really interesting in a hurry. The Blue Jays, when they come back home on the 27th of June, will host Baltimore for 3. Then the Red Sox are in for 3. Then the Blue Jays go to the Bronx for 3 with the Yankees. And then Houston is here for 4, leading up to the All-Star break. Some big games coming in the next few weeks. And big not only in terms of who they're playing, but also as the team tries to convince Mark Shapiro and Ross Atkins, hey, they're in it. You know, maybe try to convince them that a trade or 2 could help them. But they got to play well to do that. They got to get over 500.
Yeah, you've got to get over 500, and you got to think about where the other teams are as well, and you got to position yourself. I mean, anybody gets in with a wild card berth, you got a chance to go deep. Obviously, the Blue Jays know that very well. They beat Baltimore last year in a wild card game, handled Texas easily in the division series, and got beat by a tough Cleveland team.
Dickerson is going to be close, and Liriano will win the race. 3-1 on the putout.
Well, Dickerson has had problems over the last couple of years with his feet. He's had plantar fasciitis, and he said that caused me some problems hitting, because I always thought I had to hit the ball harder. You can see he's dropped a lot of weight. He's lost about 20 pounds. And watch him get out of the box here. The ball was hit right to the first baseman, but look at the effort he puts into it. And you got to admire that every single time he puts the bat on the ball, he's busting it down the line, whether it's an infield hit or the possible extra base hit like he had his first time up. That puts pressure on the defense. If you know a guy's going to bust it every time out of the box, you're really anxious to make a clean play.
1 down for Evan Longoria, who's 0 for 2 on the night. Came in hot, a .362 hitter over his last dozen games heading into this one. We were talking a little bit earlier. Is he one of the few guys, you know, star caliber player, who might spend his entire big league career with just one team? Doesn't happen much anymore.
No, it sure doesn't happen much anymore, but they signed him to a lengthy contract early in his career. In fact, I believe he had a 6-year contract before he ever got to the big leagues. They signed him before he made his debut with Tampa Bay. And then he re-signed another contract that takes him to 2022 with an option for 23. So it's possible he's going to spend his whole career right here with Tampa Bay.
You know, if you think about guys who have been around, say, 10 years, a little bit more, all with one team, there aren't many that come to mind right now. Joe Mauer is one. Dustin Pedroia is one. I could never, ever imagine Dustin Pedroia wearing another uniform.
No, I don't think he really has any desire to play for anybody else. It's been such a great spot for him. Who are some of the other guys that have played? How about Mike Trout?
High fly ball to shallow right. And Trout signed for a few more years, but after that, I mean, if he's still Mike Trout, which we all imagine he will be, he'll command as much money as anybody ever has.
Well, they could give him part of Disneyland.
They'd have to give him most of it.
He's already got 5 full seasons in the majors. He's 25 years old.
And he's won the MVP twice and finished second the other 3 years. Unfortunately for him, with the thumb injury this year, out a couple of months. So that streak will likely come to an end.
How about that? 2 MVPs, 3 second place finishes.
It's crazy.
5 Silver Slugger awards, a Rookie of the Year. He's been an All-Star every year, and he's 25. I read that he's expecting to come back quicker than they planned.
He said before the All-Star break? Maybe?
Yeah. That's pretty aggressive.
2-0 the count on Logan Morrison, who struck out in both at bats tonight. Popped it up for Tulowitzki. And a much better inning for Francisco Liriano. To the bottom of the fifth, Blue Jays coming up trailing 3-1.
Presented by TD, the first 15,000 fans receive that Stro t-shirt. You can join pregame in the WestJet flight deck for live music and entertainment. BlueJays.com for tickets for Thursday night in the 6th, presented by TD. Dan.
Arash, thank you. That'll be a hot item for sure as the Blue Jays play some big home series later on in the month. Nice night, roof open. And another good crowd. Blue Jays averaging over 38,000 per game. And another nice crowd here tonight at Rogers Center looking for some offense. Ryan Goins, the number 9 hitter, will lead it off. He'll be followed by Kevin Pillar and Josh Donaldson. The Blue Jays with just 2 hits through 4 against Jake Odorizzi. Singles by Kendry Morales and Dwight Smith Jr. Goins spent some time after the game last night looking at video. Said he kind of felt the last couple of days he was off, and it's one thing to feel it. Sometimes then you have to go look at video to know how to fix it. So spent some time, talked about weight transfer, getting out in front. Said when he's going well, he can stay back, see the ball longer, use the whole field. But sometimes I guess Buck hitters just get out of whack. They get a little jumpy sometimes.
Well, when he was swinging the bat so well, he was playing every day, and he was filling in for the injured Tulowitzki and for Donaldson, so he got quite a few regular at bats, and that was something that really helped him to maintain that consistency at the plate. Then you get infrequent at bats, and all of a sudden things don't feel so normal and natural at the plate. Try to force things, and then you think about, where are my hands? Am I back enough? And you've got too many things going on.
Puts a good swing on this ball and lines it into center, a base hit.
Good balance right here. It's two-seam fastball. It's going to run out over the plate, and he stays on it, and that's a good swing. Real quick to the baseball, short to this hitting zone, and he just stays on it. You can see how he finishes high with his hands. That keeps the barrel in the hitting zone a long time.
Third hit of the night for the Blue Jays, and back to the top of the order for Kevin Pillar, who has struck out and then walked, stole a base, and scored in the 3rd inning. Upstairs, ball 1. Odorizzi over 80 pitches already as he works here in the 5th inning. If you weren't with us earlier, has struggled with his command off and on tonight. A lot of deep counts. But the Blue Jays have left 5 men on. Ball 2.
And the one thing that's still lurking there for the Blue Jays is that streak of games with home runs allowed. Odorizzi has given up home runs in 8 straight games. And the Blue Jays, of course, they lean heavily on the home run.
Now to play off to the right. 2 balls and a strike on Pilar.
Odorizzi's been tough on the Blue Jays this season. This is his 3rd start against the Jays. He's allowed just 3 runs over his previous 13 innings of work, and tonight just a single run on 3 hits.
Rays got a good performance from rookie Jake Faria last night in just his 2nd Major League start. He pitched into the 7th.
A lot of Blue Jays hitters compare Faria to Odorizzi. Same type of arm action, same type of deception, and basically the same type of pitches. Not an overpowering fastball, but a very effective fastball.
Three and 1.
This is where Pilar really has to be patient because he is a very good high ball hitter. And that high pitch from Odorizzi looks like one you can really hammer, but he's got to make sure it's a strike.
And he's got the thunder behind him with Donaldson on deck. It was a strike, and Pilar sends it down the right side out of play, a full count. Bautista limbering up as always. What do you think the chances are here that Goins is in motion?
I don't think they'll start him right now. I think they'll keep him there at first base and just hope that Pilar can get a base hit, go first to 3rd. Now he is running.
Off the glove of Featherston into right field, and the Blue Jays have runners on the corners.
Well, by starting the runner, that may have crept into the mind of the second baseman. He looked like he was in a hurry to field the ball and get it to second with Pilar running, or with Goins running on the Pilar hit. Goins ends up at 3rd. So watch the second baseman, how quickly he's going to try to get this ball, and he's already kind of turned towards second base, and it's an air charge to Featherston. And Goins, by moving on the play, you can see Featherston was looking at Goins as he was trying to field that ball. It kicks off his glove for an error.
So a great opportunity for the Jays here in the 5th inning. 1st and 3rd, nobody out, and Josh Donaldson, the batter, he has walked and struck out. Off speed and inside, ball 1.
Well, and here's the guy that can hit the home run off Odorizzi. He has 4 career home runs off Jake. And we mentioned 8 straight games for Odorizzi, surrendering a home run.
Ball 2.
And Odorizzi knows that.
Now this is a case where a pitcher takes the mound without his best command, and he's been in kind of bob and weave mode all night long. Can the Blue Jays come up with the clutch hit and do some damage here against Odorizzi? They got the right guy at the plate. Breaking ball fouled off, 2-1. Hasn't thrown him a fastball yet.
No, and he's keeping everything away from him. Josh Donaldson and Manny Machado have both hit 4 home runs against Odorizzi. That's the most he's surrendered to an individual hitter. Donaldson just 5 hits, but 4 have left the yard.
There's a fastball, swing and a miss, 2-2.
And look where that fastball is, once again upstairs.
Tough to lay off, but tough to hit, right?
Yeah, it's so. It looks like you can hit it because you see it so well. It's right in your vision, right in your eyes, and right in what you think is a good spot to hit.
Looks like they may get the bullpen going. Very, very close. Blue Jays with a threat going here in the 5th inning. Ryan Goins reached on a base hit and then came around to third after Pilar hit the ball off the glove of the second baseman Featherston. An error charged on the play. So first and third, nobody out. Bautista's on deck with a full count on Donaldson. Got him swinging through a high fastball.
It's that pitch you see so well, and you say, man, I get a fastball, and Donaldson's upset that he swung at this pitch. But that's where Odorizzi will go when he needs a big pitch, right upstairs, and you can see Donaldson trying to get on top of it and couldn't get up there high enough. Odorizzi runs that ball all the way across the top of the strike zone, and Donaldson strikes out for the first out of the inning.
Now Bautista, who's flied out and walked. And he was guessing fastball on that first pitch, and he didn't get it. Ground ball up the middle and through, a base hit. Goins in to score. Pilar racing around to third on the RBI single by Bautista that again makes it a one-run game.
Bautista picks up the RBI, just a base hit up the middle, and the Blue Jays haven't had many of those. An RBI base hit. They drive a lot of runs in with home runs, but Bautista comes up with the RBI. And Pilar, what a job of base running Pilar does right here. He sees how deep Smith is, and Pilar never hesitated and goes all the way first to third on the base hit to center. Pilar really does a terrific job of gauging where Smith is, and he advances all the way to third on the base hit. Good inning by the Blue Jays. Goins got it started. They take advantage of the air, and after the Donaldson strikeout, Bautista comes up with the RBI single, and Danny Farquhar starts to loosen up for Tampa Bay.
Look of concern on the face of Rays manager Kevin Cash. Blue Jays back within a run. Hits even at 4 apiece. Threat still going too. First and third, one out for Kendry Morales, who's had a base hit and a fielder's choice that produced a run. His 35th RBI in the season. He's 5 for 11 in his career against Odorizzi. And again, they won't start him with a fastball.
Boy, Bautista had the right idea. He was breaking toward second, trying to get into scoring position and stay out of that double play. Ball was in the dirt, and his first move was towards second. He knows Odorizzi's going to throw that splitter in the dirt, and if he can get to second, then of course it takes away that possibility of a ground ball double play.
Ball 2. Another pitch down and away. Odorizzi's fighting it, and Kevin Cash trying to keep his spirits high, but Odorizzi may be running out of time to stay in this game. 96 pitches through 4 1/3. And he is a high pitch guy. Averages better than 17 per inning, which is higher than you would like ideally. You can see by the way he snapped his glove at that return throw, he's frustrated with himself.
Most pitches he's thrown this season, 114 pitches against the Royals, and that was just 6 innings.
3 balls, no strikes. Blue Jays have had a few of these situations. Sometimes they've been swinging, sometimes taking. Swinging here, 3-1.
Odorizzi's only pitched 7 innings once this season. This is his 12th start. Got to hit it in the air.
Pilar, the runner at third. Bautista at first. 3-1 the count. Chase Whitley, who is celebrating his birthday today, 28 years of age. He's up in the bullpen now along with Farquhar. Driven to deep right field, and this one is gone. 3-run homer. Kendry Morales to give the Blue Jays the lead.
Just a matter of time before the Blue Jays connected, as Odorizzi just didn't have his command in this ball game, and the Morales 3-run home run is going to knock Odorizzi right out of this ball game. So it's 11 games in 12 starts. Odorizzi has surrendered a home run, including 9 in a row, and he'll give way to Chase Whitley coming out of the Rays bullpen as the Blue Jays have taken the lead thanks to Bautista and Morales. Jose with an RBI single. Morales, the 3-run homer.
Down. It just delivered a 464-foot home run, Buck.
Yeah, his first home run comes on a splitter. His first home run off Jake Odorizzi. It's down, but look at the extension he gets. He stays down on it, and that's his second hit of the night, and this is the big blow. Coming into this game, Dan, you had mentioned how the Blue Jay hitters up and down the order didn't hit anything against Odorizzi except for Kendry Morales. He is now 6 for 11 against Odorizzi with a big 3-run home run here tonight.
And the Blue Jays have a 5-3 lead as Chase Whitley comes into the game for the Rays. Buck, of his 13 home runs this year, 8 of them have been with somebody on base. Only 5 solo homers out of the 13 home runs that Morales has been. He's had his ups and downs. As Smoke hits a screamer up the middle and is retired. The call by the second base umpire was that ball was caught on the fly, so I think that'll be a line out. But Morales has hit a number of 3-run homers. He's been really productive with the hits that he's gotten this year.
Yeah, and a lot of times they will be game-changing home runs that give the Blue Jays the lead, whether it's a game-winning home run or a game-changing home run. Remember, he hit a grand slam early in the season against Blake Snell, batting right-handed down in St. Petersburg. and he has gotten some big hits. Bautista had a big base hit there in that situation after the Donaldson strikeout. Bautista had a base hit into center field to drive home Goins, and then Morales cleaned him up with a 3-run bomb.
So Morales with 4 of the 5 RBIs tonight. Now 38 on the season. Some smiles in that Blue Jays dugout as they've got a 5-3 lead here, bottom 5. And Tulowitzki sends one down the right field line. Long run for Morrison into foul territory to make a nice play and end the inning. But what an inning it is for the Blue Jays. An error figures into the Blue Jays finally come up with a big hit with men on base tonight. Morales with a 3-run blast.
Tulowitzki was out taking very early infield, in part because the Blue Jays were coming off a week on grass in Oakland and Seattle. And also Tulowitzki says that's the best time he can get the work in without having to worry about line drives or in batting practice. Nets being up, guys working the base paths. One interesting thing Tulowitzki mentioned is that it's as much of a transition day-to-day playing on a road grass stadium as it is on turf. He said the length of the lawn in Seattle changed during the weekend. Even some overnight rain can affect hops. So just to get the rhythm right, he's out early getting the work in, Dan, when everybody else is out of the way.
Yeah, Rash, as you say, 2 days in a row that Tulo was out about 4.5 hours before game time. Francisco Liriano now heads back to the mound with a lead. 76 pitches through 5. Blue Jays up 5-3. Steven Souza Jr.
Liriano looking for a shutdown inning right now just to keep the momentum in the Blue Jays dugout.
Foul to back, and it's 0-2. And as Liriano takes the mound to begin the 6th, Ryan Tepera takes the mound in the bullpen.
Blue Jays bullpen has been terrific this season. They've got 15 wins. They're rocking up the strikeouts, and they've really done a nice job of overcoming the loss of Joe Biagini. Everybody was concerned about Biagini's insertion into the rotation, but the way Tepera has stepped up, Danny Barnes has been consistent, Dominic Leone has had his moments, and then of course Joe Smith and Roberto Osuna have nearly been perfect.
There's strike 3 called. Let's get an update with Jamie Campbell. So 4-4, bottom of the 6th. The Cubs right at the 500 mark, 32-32 on the season. Red Sox are up 6-3 on Philadelphia. Mookie Betts has added a home run for Boston. Orioles are delayed right now. They got some rain in Chicago, and the Yankees later on in Anaheim. So with Barnes not up, with Tepera up, John Gibbons is saying, hey, I'm willing to use Tepera for more than an inning if need be, as Liriano makes quick work of Smith. Back-to-back strikeouts. Liriano trying to say, you know what, let me get through 6, and then you don't need Tepera for more than an inning.
Well, he's got his good slider now, and that was, he got Souza on the slider looking, and it gets Smith to chase the slider. So 7 strikeouts now and just 2 walks. Interesting how the walks came in a span of 3 batters. But here the slider, I mean, that's impossible with 2 strikes to lay off of, and you can see Smith missed it by a wide margin.
You know, Buck, this is the 2nd deepest into a ball game Liriano's gone in 10 starts this season. He went 6 2/3 against the Orioles back on April the 13th, and now 5 2/3 tonight. That's the 2nd longest he's gone.
Yeah, it's been a real inconsistent season for him, and it all started with that first start against Tampa Bay. First outing of the season, he got just 1 out.
And just an unusual situation with the Jays and Rays playing a lot early in the season. Liriano missed some time on the DL, but not when Tampa Bay was playing Toronto. This is his 10th start of the year for them against Tampa Bay. These 2 teams after tonight will not meet again until August.
A 4-game series starting August 14th right here at Rogers Center.
Got the good slider right now, as you said.
Well, the Rays are a home run hitting team, as we mentioned earlier, 2nd in the majors in home runs, and they've had 30 games this season with 2 or more home runs. But Liriano's slider is so wicked tonight.
There's another one. Liriano strikes out the side here in the 6th inning, and he's got 8 now on the night.
.465 feet. That was the longest home run hit at Rogers Center this season, and the 2nd longest that has been tracked by StatsCast all of this year. Now, we talk about clutch situations and delivering when it matters. 9 of the 13 home runs Kendry Morales has hit this season have either tied or given the Blue Jays the lead. Guys, this guy knows when to turn it on.
Not only what you do, but when you do it. And Kendry Morales with a very timely 3-run home run on the bottom of the 5th inning. The Blue Jays now coming up bottom 6, leading 5-3. As Russell Martin leads it off against Chase Whitley. This feels like 162 games, but this feels like a pretty big one. You're either going to be 3 under or 1 under. If the Blue Jays lose this game tonight, lose both to Tampa Bay, lose ground on other teams in their division, got to stew on that over an off day. If they can win this game, they take the field Friday against the White Sox, again knowing that, hey, one more win gets them to that 500 mark that they've been trying to chase down all season long. Martin lines the ball into center field, well hit, cut off by Smith, and it'll be a long single for Martin to open up the inning.
Well, we mentioned Russell starting to swing the bat much better, and he hit a line drive his last time up right at the shortstop, and he gets on top of this high cutter and rips it into center field. And Russell's starting to feel it. He had kind of a frustrating round of batting practice today. He was hitting the ball hard and it wasn't going anywhere in his estimation. But he's had 2 real good at bats here tonight, and that's a real positive thing for Russell.
Leadoff man aboard for Dwight Smith Jr., who's got a base hit, and he's also struck out. Creeping in at third, Longoria, and Smith will look at a strike. If you weren't with us earlier, the Blue Jays announcing today Ezequiel Carrera has a fracture in his right foot after fouling a ball off his foot in his second at bat last night of the 5th inning. Stayed in the game, finished the game, but when he woke up this morning it felt much worse. A change up there, and it's 0-2, so Carrera is out indefinitely, giving the Blue Jays now 5 outfielders on the disabled list, although they do expect to get one of them, Steve Pearce, back on Friday when the White Sox come to town. Golfed high in the air. The shortstop can't find it. It's going to drop in. Robertson never knew where it was, although it wasn't his ball. And then above and beyond that, Borges and Smith, either lack of communication or maybe one of them lost it as well.
No, I don't think anybody saw it. I really don't. You can see it's still a twilight sky, and there's no background for those baseballs to be tracked against. And the shortstop, Robertson, had no chance. Watch the shortstop as this ball goes off the bat. He never sees it. He's looking up, saying, I don't see it. And they're pointing to the sky. Featherston saying it's up there. Well, up where? Nobody really saw it. And it ends up as a base hit for Dwight Smith Jr. But you can see that sky really so twilight that there's no dark background to contrast that white baseball, and everybody lost it.
So the Rays tonight have committed a couple of errors, a throwing error on the catcher Norris, an error on the second baseman Featherston. Now that's a base hit, but again a gift given to the Blue Jays, and can they take advantage? Ryan Goins had a base hit his last time up. Gets the bunt down, it's bobbled. And out at first, big stretch by the second baseman Featherston. If Norris comes up with it cleanly, though, maybe they have a play at third, and DeMarlo Hale wants to check and see if Featherston came off the bag.
I think Featherston was off the bag when he caught the ball. Brian Gorman, the first base umpire. Norris thought about going to third, but Longoria was so far away from third he couldn't get back in time. And then when Norris looked up and threw to first base, I think he pulled the second baseman off the bag who was covering. Watch the foot here. Well, you're going to get blocked out. No, he is in contact. That's a good call, but the umpires are going to go look at the video. He did maintain contact when he caught that ball, but you can see how far off he was once he fell to the ground.
And again, you have 30 seconds to decide whether or not you want to ask for a review, and the clock ran all the way down there, and right at the last second John Gibbons made that universal signal we've become familiar with. Put the headsets on. He wants to take a look at it. Call on the field is out. That Featherston did stay on the bag.
Right there, looks like he's still on the bag.
Yeah, I agree with you.
But he fell so far off the bag after he made the catch, it really looked like he was disengaged from the base.
Yep.
But I think that call is going to stand.
Headsets coming off. And he's out. So it will go as a sacrifice for Goins. 2-4 on the putout, and the Blue Jays have runners at second and third with one out.
Goins has had a good night. He had a base hit to start the rally in the 5th. He has a sac bunt to put runners at 2nd and 3rd. That's going to draw the infield in and turn the lineup over. Whenever the Blue Jays get 7, 8, 9 on base, they score a lot of runs.
Kevin Pillar, the batter, with the infield in now for the Rays, trying to prevent the Blue Jays from extending this lead at all here in the 6th inning. Pillar tonight a strikeout, a walk, and he's reached on an error. He's scored a couple of runs. Goins moving the runners along, although the bunt didn't get far from the batter's box at all. But Norris had some trouble making the play. Tampa Bay had a 2-0 lead in the 3rd, a 3-1 lead in the 4th. The big hit of the game, a 3-run homer by Kendry Morales in the bottom of the 5th. Jim Hickey looking on as Chase Whitley on his birthday is out of the mound trying to get out of this jam. Down and away, ball 2. Got to be a helpless feeling. Ball's in the air for a long time, and 3 guys can't see it just because of the time. And 5 minutes earlier, 5 minutes later, they probably make the catch.
Yeah, it's a routine out for sure.
Blue Jays hoping to capitalize on their good fortune. Meanwhile, Liriano struck out the side in the top half of the 6th inning. He's only at 88 pitches, has 8 strikeouts, and it looks like he's coming out for the 7th. Fouled back and a big cut there, and it's a full count on Pillar. Josh Donaldson on deck. Martin the runner at 3rd, Smith at 2nd with 1 out. Big pitch coming.
In these situations, you want to be late. You don't want to be over aggressive. You don't want to roll over a pitch and put it on the ground. If anything, you want to hit the ball to the opposite power alley. That's the best approach, especially with 2 strikes. Just stay back, wait the last possible minute to commit, swing, or take. You want to be late in these situations.
Will he get another fastball? Last 2 have been. He didn't get a fastball and pops it out of play over the dugout.
This has been a tough situation for the Blue Jays all season long, hitting with runners in scoring position as a team, batting .224 coming into this game. Pillar overall just .105 batting with runners in scoring position.
3-2 again. The run will score. Pillar will be out at first. They appeal down to first. And first base umpire Brian Gorman said Pillar did swing, but the run will score on the wild pitch. Smith comes to 3rd, and it's 6-3. A little confusion there for Pillar on what was the call. Did he check the swing or not? So he didn't run right away, but the Blue Jays still pick up a run.
Now that's the important aspect of it. Martin comes in to score on the wild pitch. Got away from Norris. Pillar checked his swing and didn't break out of the box quickly. There's the check swing. He swung at it and he makes his way toward first as if it's ball 4.
Right.
The appeal down to first, and Brian Gorman calls Pillar for the swing. Martin comes in to score.
So 6-3 Blue Jays as the run comes in on the wild pitch. That's a tricky one because you don't want to, if you're running hard, it's like you're saying, I think I went around. You run slowly, you're maybe trying to buy a call and say, no, I didn't go. That's ball 4. So Pilar didn't break out of the box very quickly, or all that quickly, assuming that perhaps he had drawn a walk. But one way or another, that run was coming in to score on the play. 0-2 on Donaldson, who's walked and struck out twice.
Oh, you don't want to see that after what happened last night. Ezequiel Carrera fouled a ball off the top of his foot, and today he showed up on crutches and he's been placed on the disabled list. You know, we make light of these foul balls, and in the other dugout you'll hear other ball players on the other team talk about yip with the dog getting hit. You make all kinds of funny noises, but guys have suffered broken legs, broken feet, fractures, and it can be a serious injury.
Broken back, ground ball to short, and that's the inning. The Blue Jays, though, do take advantage of a ball, a pop-up that the Rays couldn't see that fell in, and then a wild pitch, and they tack on a run to now lead 6-3. Are off tomorrow, but you can check out a division rival as the Orioles are in Chicago to wrap up a series with the White Sox. It's day game tomorrow, 2 o'clock Eastern time, and of course the White Sox come to Toronto and open up a 3-game weekend series with the Jays over the weekend. 6-3, the Blue Jays lead the Rays as the Rays come up in the top of the 7th. And Francisco Liriano is back out on the mound, and why not, after he struck out the side in the 6th, only at 88 pitches. And Derek Norris leads it off, takes a little bit of high, ball 1. Norris, Featherston, and Borges, 8, 9, and 1 in the Rays lineup. Donaldson cuts in front of Tulowitzki and has time to make a good play. Meanwhile, Buck in the bullpen, Ryan Tepera up again, and second time is up. Looks like he's ready if needed.
Yeah, he's just standing by, and if they need him, and you can see Dane Johnson, the bullpen coach, is giving him the lineup, where they are in the batting order, who he might be facing, and where the next matchups will be.
Well, this is now 4 times in the last 5 games, so once around the rotation where the Blue Jays starter has gone at least 6 innings. As Featherston lines a ball into right field, a base hit.
Buy 6 cans of Beauty Tone paint and get the 7th free. Available exclusively at Home Hardware and Building Center locations. Beauty Tone, Canada's color experts.
Pete Walker on the phone.
Checking with the status of Ryan Tepera, and I think Liriano's going to stay in this game until Corey Dickerson hits. No matter what happens, and he'll either get Dickerson out, and the inning might be over, or if Dickerson keeps the inning alive, Tepera will come on and pitch to Longoria.
See how John Gibbons decides to play it. Runner at first, one out. Dickerson always dangerous on deck. Borges the batter. Borges 1 for 3, an infield hit and a couple of strikeouts tonight.
Kevin Cash put Borges in the leadoff spot tonight because of Liriano, the left-hander. He wanted another right-handed bat top of the order, and he has gotten on base and scored a run.
High strike, 2-1. Tonight, kind of a microcosm of what Liriano sometimes goes through. First 2 innings were terrific. Third and fourth, all kinds of traffic. Lost his command in the 4th inning. Walked a couple, and then 5th and 6th, 3 up, 3 down.
Yeah, he's never going to be a guy that goes out there and pounds the strike zone, strike after strike after strike, like Marcus Stroman. He fills up the strike zone with all kinds of pitches. Liriano, when he gets it in the strike zone, chances are it's going to be nearly an unhittable pitch, and he's got 3 great pitches: a good sinking fastball, a wicked slider, and a very good changeup.
Chopper, Liriano, good play for the second out.
Boy, Liriano really read that quickly, recognizing that Borges runs so well. And he got off the mound in a heartbeat. Borges hit it onto the ground, and he had a swinging bunt earlier. But watch the pitcher, how quickly he moves off the mound. He knows that he's the only guy that's got a chance to throw out Borges. He makes a nice play to retire the leadoff man. Borges had a swinging bunt up the third baseline earlier in the game, but Liriano does a terrific job of breaking off the mound very quickly and retiring Borges.
And Buck, if Liriano can get a win tonight, it would be his 100th career win. He is 99 and 94 in his career entering tonight. Here is Dickerson, who, as you speculated, probably one way or the other, this is the last batter of the night for Liriano. Dickerson 1 for 3, a 2-run triple back in the 3rd. Tepera looking on from the bullpen. He's done his throwing. He's ready if needed. Liriano hoping to end the inning right here.
What came off?
I don't know what that is.
That was his thumb guard.
Yeah,
he just broke his thumb guard, and it flew all the way up to first baseline. I saw something fly off the bat. I wasn't sure what it was, and there you can see that he lost the grip on that thumb guard. It's a rubber piece of sponge that protects that webbing between your thumb and your index finger, and that's supposed to help you when you get jammed. You can see it flies off his thumb, and I haven't seen that very often, but watch how he loses that top hand, and that thumb guard flies right off his thumb.
Right back to the slider, and it's fouled off 1-2.
This is the 65th game of the season for the Blue Jays, and if Liriano can close out this 7th inning, it'll be just the 12th time the Blue Jays have had a pitcher pitch 7 innings or more all season long. And the bullpen has been worked because of that, but they had 2 7-inning outings in Seattle, and this would be a nice little capper to this 2-game series.
Have not had the stability in the rotation that they had all of last season. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Got him. Liriano, and likely his final batter of the night. He ends it on a high note with strikeout number 9. 7th inning stretch, and the Blue Jays have the lead. broadcast is presented by authority of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership, and it may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. The Blue Jays have taken advantage of some mistakes made by the Rays tonight. Kendry Morales has homered and driven in 4, and handshakes all the way around for Francisco Liriano after 7 innings tonight.
Very impressive outing for Liriano. 9 strikeouts. He had a little bit of a wobble in the 3rd and 4th, but after he got the lead, he really slammed the door to end his 7-inning outing.
Jose Bautista got that one off the end of the bat. It's going to drop, hit Smith, bounce towards left, and into second goes Bautista. There's been some weird stuff happening here tonight.
Like there's a full moon out. Bautista gets a double as that ball hit off the end of the bat, and Smith did everything he could to keep it in front of him. Big swing by Bautista, and generally that freezes an outfielder. So by the time he recovers, he tries to smother the hop, and it goes off his chest and caroms toward left field. Borges was over to back him up in center, so Smith has to recover and play it himself. See how it hits off him and bounces to his right.
So here's the hitting star of the night for the Blue Jays in Morales. Had a base hit in the 1st, a fielder's choice, and an RBI in the 3rd. And then, of course, the 3-run homer deep into the 200 level, deep into the second deck and right, his last time up. So with Liriano getting through 7, that means that it'll be Joe Smith coming on in the 8th inning. Danny Barnes was up in the 4th. Tepera was up in the 6th and the 7th. But Liriano just kept going and got through 7 innings. Gave some relievers a break, and now it'll be Joe Smith, it looks like, in the 8th.
Has driven in 4 runs tonight against Tampa Bay. Had a fielder's choice. He legged out a potential double play ball in the 3rd. That got him an RBI, and then he hit the 3-run home run in the 5th.
3rd time this season he's had at least 4 runs driven in a game.
Well, and for the season against Tampa Bay now, he has 4 home runs and 14 RBIs against the Rays this season in 12 games.
Bautista's running, and a swing and a ground ball, and Bautista a huge turn, then he'll go back to 3rd. Morales is out. So Bautista was running on the pitch, and with that head start and seeing the ground ball, he thought about maybe trying to come home on that play.
He breaks on the pitch and watches the ball hit deep to second base, and he comes around with a full head of steam. And they made him stop, but he had the right intention.
And you know what, the way he's running, and he's had his ups and downs at the plate, but the way he's running and throwing, you can just see he's just so much healthier this year than he was last year.
No question about it. And no question, especially his throwing. His shoulder is healthy. He got to work out this offseason with focusing on his baseball skills. And yeah, he's a different player than he was last year.
Infield in, 3 on the right side. The batter Smoke, who's 0 for 3. Looking to tack on a run here with a runner at 3rd. Down to 1st. Morrison will make the play unassisted. 2 down. So that'll leave it up to Troy Tulowitzki, who is 0 for 3 tonight. A couple of fly balls to right, and then a pop up in foul territory for the first baseman. Blue Jays were down 2-0 and 3-1, but now lead 6-3, bottom of the 7th, after the Rays took the first game of the series 8-1. Well located fastball, 0-1.
It's interesting. They threw that ball down and away when they're playing him to pull so dramatically on the infield. And if you're going to play the shift, pitch to the shift. Don't pitch away from it.
See this more and more, though. And they'll get the out of it to end the inning. Leadoff double for Bautista, but he's stranded at third. Joe Smith will make his way into the game with the Blue Jays up 6-3 going to the 8th. Wobbly innings, some of it not his doing. There was an error, there was a bunt single, but overall the line looks really strong.
He really finished up strong, and you look at his 6th inning. He struck out the side in the 6th. He had another strikeout in the 7th, and I think this is a real step forward for Francisco Liriano. Exactly 100 pitches, and now he'll turn it over to a very effective Joe Smith. Smith making his 34th appearance of the season, and his numbers across the board are very impressive. Righties hitting just .215, lefties .234. He has really benefited by his ability to throw first pitch strikes. When you're a side armor and you come into the game and you throw first pitch strikes, you don't give the hitters an awful lot of feedback as to your release point. I mean, it's a totally different look. First of all, he's right-handed, not left-handed like Liriano. Secondly, he's got a sidearm delivery, and you've got to change your sights as a hitter. So he really benefits from throwing first pitch strikes. That allows him to have quick innings.
He'll face Evan Longoria, Logan Morrison, and Steven Souza Jr., the part of the Rays lineup. 3, 4, and 5 hitters. 6-3 Blue Jays top 8. Longoria is 0 for 3. And he lines the first pitch into right field, a base hit.
This 4K broadcast is brought to you by Samsung QLED TV. Experience Canada's team in all the colors of the game with the next innovation in TV.
Night has fallen here in Toronto. Top of the 8th inning. Big crowd at Rogers Center. Dan Shulman, Buck Martinez, Arash Madani. A 6-3 lead for the Blue Jays over the Rays.
When you look at the Blue Jays relief pitchers, Osuna and Joe Smith are first and second in first pitch strikes. Longoria, of course, jumped on that first pitch, but it's really an effective approach. There's another one.
Morrison the batter, runner being held, shift on for the Blue Jays. Donaldson's come over to the right side of the infield. And here's a fly ball pretty well hit to left field. Smith's going back, running out of room, and it's gone. Off the back wall behind the bullpen, opposite field, home run for Morrison. And Tampa Bay's back within a run.
19th home run of the season, and opposite field the home run. Only the 3rd home run Smith has surrendered this season, but it follows a Longoria leadoff single. And all of a sudden it's a 1-run game. Another home run for Tampa Bay. That's 103 home runs now. Only the Yankees have more home runs, and boy, that's a pretty good pitch that Morrison stayed on. And he understands now that he doesn't have to create an awful lot of energy with his body. He can trust his hands, and that's how he was able to get to that sinking fastball away. This guy's a big guy. He's 6'4", weighs about 250, and you can see not much of a stride. He just uses his hands and hits it out of the ballpark to the opposite power alley.
And all of a sudden, this one's a lot tighter. Just a 1-run lead for the Jays now in the 8th inning, and nobody out still. Here's Souza. Bouncing ball to 3rd. Foul ball, says third base umpire Ryan Blakeney. Just foul, so Souza will head back to home plate.
And that was really a close call because the umpire was standing directly behind Donaldson when he fielded the ball. Watch where Donaldson ends up catching this ball. It's bounced right in front of home plate. Now Donaldson's going to go over and block the view of the umpire. So you really couldn't tell whether or not that ball was fair or foul from the umpire's position, as Donaldson was right in front of him. I don't know how he saw where the ball was when he made contact with it.
Not a reviewable play, in case anyone is wondering. You can review whether a ball's fair or foul beyond the first and third base umpires, but not on the ball in front of them. 1-1 misses outside, close but no. 2 balls and a strike on Souza. Smith, an 11-year major league veteran, came up with the Mets. He's also pitched with the Indians, Angels, and last year the Cubs. Same spot, same result, and it's 3 balls and a strike. And he puts them on. So a single, a homer, and a walk so far this inning as we go down to Arash.
Well, Dan, good power, good home run for Morrison, 365 feet. He's making the transition to become an everyday player again. This was the scene before the game during batting practice, getting some on-the-fly treatment done. Not a big thing, he told me, just a shoulder giving him pain, bothering him lately. Says he has a chronic problem with the hip. He said it's only a couple of occasions in the season when pain isn't a bother. At the start of spring training in October, then in the playoffs, adrenaline takes over, he said.
Yeah, like a lot of ball players who have been around for a while. You don't hear a lot about it, but just about everybody plays through something. And here's where it gets interesting again. With Smith's speed and his ability to bunt, he's already got a bunt hit in this game. He popped up trying to bunt earlier in the game as well. And as you said, I think the phrase you used was high alert. The infield has to be on high alert right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that Smith can do to help this team win. Well, that was a line drive right into the second row of seats, and it looks like it might have hit somebody. Hope everybody's okay.
Yep. And Tepera back up with Smith struggling right now.
Smith had not allowed a run in his last 8 appearances. 8 innings, 5 hits. He didn't walk a batter and struck out 12. He'd been on a real high.
How about movement on that slider? Smith frozen by it. There's out number 1.
Lots of break on that slider, and you can see Smith just not used to seeing that kind of delivery, and that's the aspect of having quick resolutions to at bats. Hitters doesn't have much feedback from what they're dealing with Smith.
Colby Erasmus is going to come out and pinch hit. Daniel Robertson was to have been the hitter, but they'll get a left-handed bat and one with some pop in there in Erasmus.
Former Blue Jay Colby Erasmus been a nice addition to this Rays ball club. He's got some pop, as Dan mentioned. 9 home runs, 23 RBIs. And he's coming off the bench. Just 1 for 5 as a pinch hitter for Rasmus.
Represents the go-ahead run with a 1 out here in the 8th inning, and he takes that slider down and in for ball 1. Longoria singled to begin the inning, then Morrison took Smith the other way for a 2-run homer. Souza walked. Smith struck out, and now Rasmus. Out to play left side.
Colby is 0 for 7 going head-to-head against Joe Smith. That's a lot of at-bats against a reliever. Obviously, you're only going to face him once a game, so Smith has had the upper hand in this matchup.
(6-5) Blue Jays here in the 8th inning as Souza draws a throw.
Souza will pick his spots. He had a stolen base earlier in the game when he stole 3rd in the 4th inning.
It's his 3rd of the season. Got a pretty healthy lead at first, being held on by Smoke. 1 ball, 1 strike to count, not going, and the pitch misses outside for ball 2. Joe Smith has been so good for the Blue Jays this season. Came into the game 7 walks, 46 strikeouts on the year. Man, there's a lot of break on that slider. Starts it well off the outside corner to the left-handed batters and tries to bring it back over the outside corner, which is what he did to get Smith. Two. Fastball stays high, a full count. Now do they start the runner?
I think you start the runner in this situation. Lefty on righty. Souza's got good speed. If you keep yourself out of a double play, you're still going to have the tying run on base. Create some movement on the infield for Rasmus.
He's running, and the ball's hooked into right field, a base hit out to Bautista on a bounce. Souza comes around to 3rd on a single by Rasmus.
Colby Rasmus, his 2nd pinch hit of the season.
And John Gibbons has a decision to make. Does he stay with Smith or does he go to Tepera?
Take a look at this breaking ball again, and Rasmus stays on it. It's a little bit up, and that's how he's able to hook it into right field. Souza was running on the pitch, so he easily goes 1st to 3rd. And Rasmus delivers off the bench.
The batter is Derek Norris with the tying run at 3rd, the go-ahead run at 1st. And there's the fan that was hit by the ball, the foul ball off the bat of Malik Smith. That was the big ovation you heard as the injured fan able to make her way up the stairs after some medical attention. It looks like, from what we can see here, basically on her own. So that's great news that hopefully nothing too serious happened on that foul ball. Here's Norris.
Now, this is why you leave Smith in this situation, because of his strikeout totals. He struck out Malik Smith. He now has 47 strikeouts. That's 5th in the major leagues among relievers.
We could sure use one here. 0-1 the count on Norris. Rays threatening. 0-2. Smith having to work hard. He's thrown 19 pitches. 4 of 5 batters he's faced have reached. 2 have scored. Missed inside.
Joe does a great job of reading what a hitter is doing at the plate, and if he sees the hitter is staying in the box looking for that breaking ball, he'll pound that fastball inside. And Norris showing no signs. Now they're going away, and there's that slider.
And it's hit to right field. Bautista setting up, makes the catch. Souza the tag, coming home, and will score standing up to tie the game at 6. A 3-run inning for the Rays to tie it here in the 8th.
And Francisco Liriano will have to wait another day for his 100th career win. Good at bat by Colby Erasmus for the base hit to send Souza to third. And then Norris with the sac fly picks up his 21st RBI. This is the second time this season that Joe Smith has been tagged for 3 runs in an inning.
So 2 down, go ahead run at first still. Running is Rasmus, in and out of the glove of Martin. That'll be a stolen base for Rasmus. And now the go ahead run is in scoring position with 2 down.
That's the first stolen base of the season for Colby Rasmus, as the Rays have done everything right in this inning. Rasmus got a terrific jump, and Martin in a rush to make the throw. The ball pop out of his glove.
Taylor Featherston the batter, and a weak ground ball back towards the mound. Smith has it on to first, and that's the inning, but didn't turn out nearly the way that Joe Smith wanted it to. 3 runs across, tied at 6, going bottom 8. Time now for an update. Here are Jamie and Kevin in the Samsung broadcast studio. Proud fan since 1977, an official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
In the 5th inning, the Blue Jays had scored a run to make it a 3-2 game, and then Kendry Morales steps to the plate with 2 on, and he hits a no-doubter deep into the second deck in right. His 13th home run of the season is a 3-run home run, and 9 of his 13 home runs this season have either tied the game or given the Blue Jays the lead. He comes up big when the Blue Jays need a big home run, and he did it again tonight.
Sitting alongside the injured Ezekiel Carrera in the Blue Jays dugout, tied at 6, going bottom 8 after that rally in the top half of the inning by the Rays. And here's left-hander Jose Alvarado.
Alvarado is a hard thrower. They called him up from Double-A, just 16 games so far this season, and he's got a good fastball. Blue Jays have seen him before, and all of a sudden they recognize that this guy's legit. Didn't know much about him before, but now they have an idea that he has got that legitimate fastball, and they're going to have to get it ready quickly.
Michael Martinez into the game at second base now. Taylor Featherstone moves from second to short after Robertson left for the pinch hitter Rasmus in the top half of the inning, a move that paid off handsomely for Kevin Cash in Tampa Bay. Russell Martin leads it off for the Jays. Big swing and a miss, 0-1. Russell tonight 1 for 3, led off last inning with a base hit and eventually scored on a wild pitch. High fly ball, deep left center field, gone.
Russell's starting to swing the bat better, and he's had good at bats all night long. Russell lined out with a shortstop in the first, had a rip single into center in the sixth, and here he hits a leadoff home run to give the Blue Jays the lead in the eighth. His 6th home run of the season, and it's the first home run that Alvarado has surrendered this season.
7-6 Blue Jays. They give it up in the top of the 8th, and they get it right back in the bottom of the 8th. On a Martin's 6th home run of the year.
This has been a real problem for Tampa Bay. The bridge pitchers trying to get to Alex Colomé, their closer. They haven't had anybody step up as a setup guy.
Dwight Smith Jr.'s 2 for 3, couple of base hits.
Russell's been working hard to get this stroke back. He hit one to the base of the wall in the game last night, and he turns on this one and hits it deep into the seats in center. 2 for 4. He lined out, single, and now homered.
This game's had a little bit of everything, hasn't it?
We've had errors. We've had pop-ups that have dropped safely because they couldn't see it. Stolen bases, plays at the plate, and big strikeout totals. 3 home runs overall.
One-two to Smith. Chopped over the mound. Tough play. Martinez. Infield hits Smith. His 3rd hit of the night.
Dwight Smith was a first-round draft pick in 2011 out of high school in Georgia. It's taken him a while to figure things out, but this might be the season it's all come together. He was hitting over 300 in Buffalo, and here he has his first 3-hit game of his big league career. Michael Martinez, a desperation throw. Smith's speed too much. That's a nice look. A little more speed in the lineup for the Blue Jays.
Smith is now 4 for 8 as a big leaguer with 3 hits tonight. There's Goins. He's going to get a bunt down towards 3rd, charging Longoria. They'll get Goins, who will be credited with his 2nd sacrifice of the night. Smith to 2nd. Meanwhile, no surprise with the Blue Jays taking the lead. Might have been up anyways. Actually, probably would have been up anyways with the game being at home. But Roberto Osuna is up in the pen.
You can see Dane Johnson giving Osuna some instruction about the hitters he is scheduled to face, and it's the top of the order. Borges, Dickerson, and Longoria.
Blue Jays would love to add a little bit more insurance here. Breaking ball for a strike to Kevin Pillar. 0 for 3 with a walk tonight. He scored a couple of runs. 7 runs, 10 hits for the Blue Jays. 6 runs on 8 hits for the Rays. Each team has left 6. Past Eric Shelton down the line, foul. 0-2.
Alvarado had 1 inning against the Blue Jays earlier this season. And he had a clean inning in that outing.
Runner going. Pitch taken for a strike to get Pilar, but in there safely at third is Smith. Pilar kind of looking out there like he didn't expect Smith to be running, and like maybe that made it a little more difficult for him to concentrate on the pitch.
Yeah, I think Kevin was surprised that he was running. He's already in scoring position with 2 outs. And with 2 strikes, it's difficult to steal a base with the hitter trying to battle the hitter. And now they're going to walk Donaldson. They've just signaled 4 and put Donaldson on. So they walk Donaldson to bring Bautista to the plate. Kind of interesting.
That's a lot of respect. In the sense that it's not the typical situation where you would do that.
Just they chose not to pitch to Donaldson.
Yep.
That'll rattle the cage of Jose a little bit.
Sure will. Bautista 2 for 3 with a walk. He's got a single, a double, an RBI, and a run scored tonight. Blue Jays trailed 2-0 and 3-1, then led 6-3, lost the lead, got it back this half inning, and the Russell Martin home run up 7-6 right now. Little inside, ball 2. Off day tomorrow. White Sox in town over the weekend.
Bautista has 31 career home runs against Tampa Bay, and you know that he is trying to get Alvarado throw something out over the plate.
Went around on the swing. On the appeal down to first, 2-1. That was half swing, half self-defense. Bautista just checking that it was a swinging strike, not a called strike. He certainly tried to hold up, but in the opinion of Brian Gorman, down at first couldn't do so. Bautista is second in the American League in walks this year, just 1 behind Aaron Judge of the Yankees. Full count.
Turned on that inside pitch, and you know there were times when he was really scuffling at the plate, and it would have been easy for you to understand why he would expand the zone trying to hunt hits, but he didn't. He stayed true to his approach at the plate and took the walks.
3-2, and a swing and a miss to get him and end the inning. But the Blue Jays will take a lead to the 9th. Roberto Osuna will come on looking for the last 3 outs of the night. The Russell Martin home run to lead off the bottom of the 8th has given the Blue Jays the lead.
Jays on Sportsnet. Presented by the all-new 2017 Honda Rebel. Live your life. Love your ride.
Been a bit of a wild one tonight at Rogers Center. The Blue Jays have a 7-6 lead going to the 9th inning. And that, of course, means that Roberto Osuna's on to try to nail it down.
Osuna's been on some roll lately. He has made 11 straight appearances in save situations, and he's 11 for 11. In Seattle on Saturday, he threw 9 straight strikes to pick up the save and strike out 2 of the 3 batters he faced. He has really been pounding that strike zone, throwing only 13.3 pitches per inning over the course of his last 11 appearances.
Top of the order for the Rays: Peter Borges, Corey Dickerson, and Evan Longoria. Swing and a miss, 0-1.
Osuna's confidence is sky high right now.
It's kind of crazy to think he's still 22 years of age in his 3rd full season as a closer at the big league level. 0-2.
Well, you got to credit the Blue Jays for identifying his talent at a very young age. He was pitching as a 16-year-old in Mexico City in a basically AAA atmosphere. His father pitched 22 years in the Mexican League. His uncle pitched 11 years in the majors, Antonio Osuna. So he's been around the game his whole life. Nothing rattles him. He's one of those guys that you can say, hey, Roberto, what do you think about throwing a screwball? Okay, I'll try it. And he has that kind of ability to do it. He's added a cutter. Now his slider's gotten better. His cutter's better. His changeup's good. And he's just one of those kids that can develop just about any pitch and refine it quickly.
Well, the 4-seamer there at 96 miles an hour, and a check swing foul off by Borges to stay alive.
Remember, Osuna began the season on the disabled list, and took him a while to ramp up that velocity. We've seen him at 97 lately, and that's where he was in his first full season, and that's where he has gotten back to. Plus, he's a better pitcher now.
One down. Now for a preview of what's coming up on Sportsnet Central, here are Ken Reed and Brendan Dunlop. That's the way Blue Jays fans would like to see it go, Ken. Thank you very much, guys. Looking forward to that. But tough customer here, of course, in Corey Dickerson. He is 5 for 9, including a triple and a homer in this 2-game series.
1 for 4 against Osuna.
Late on that fastball.
Heat him up. He's been on all the off-speed pitches they have thrown him in this series so far, and Osuna's got the fastball to challenge him upstairs.
Marco Estrada, Marcus Stroman looking on from the third base dugout. Back and forth affair tonight. Blue Jays need a win to get back within a game of the 500 mark. 0-2. Got more of the plate than Russell Martin wanted or intended, but Dickerson was looking for something else evidently. Three straight fastballs.
Yeah, and that's, I think, a good approach. I think you go right after this guy, and he's been exceptional hitting with 2 strikes this season. He's done a terrific job of making the adjustments. He's hitting about 100 points higher than the major league average with 2 strikes, batting .275.
And doing damage.
got 4 home runs with 2 strikes.
Stays with a fastball, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Roberto's come out of his delivery the last 2 pitches, and that fastball's gotten away from him. That front side is opening up and his arm's dragging. That's why he's not been able to locate it.
Dickerson the batter, Longoria on deck. 1-run lead for the Blue Jays. Tried to bring that cutter back over the outside corner, but he missed outside a full count. Crowd is booing, but that pitch clearly outside. And the always dangerous Longoria looming in the on-deck circle. Three-two. Emergency hack right there, huh?
Absolutely. And Dickerson, he says, you know what, I'm just going to be short and quick to the ball with 2 strikes, and that's why he was able just to foul it off. And you talk about the defensive swing. He knows it's a good pitch. All he wants to do is foul it off and hope to live another day. Now he's got another pitch.
Red Sox leading, Orioles trailing, Yankees just getting started. Blue Jays up a run here in the 9th. Another emergency hack, that time on a ball away, but that's part of the art of hitting, is fighting off the tough ones and hoping to get a mistake.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Dickerson has done all season long. He says, you know what, I know where that outside pitch is, and I'll foul the one outside, but I know I don't have to go any farther outside than that. If they throw it a little bit further away, it'll be a ball. First cutter slider of the at-bat coming right now.
And he got a piece of it. Pretty impressive stuff here from Dickerson.
The major league average for hitters with 2 strikes is 174. He is hitting 275 coming into this game. That's how you lead the team in hitting. Hit .330. You don't concede anything. Also keeping an eye on Dickerson.
Another 3-2 pitch on the way, and a ground ball back to the mound. 2 down. Osuna wins the battle.
What a battle it was. Corey Dickerson coming in this game batting .337. He had a 2-run triple in the 3rd, and Osuna gets him to tap out back to the mound.
So they are 1 out away. And the batter will be Evan Longoria. Longoria tonight 1 for 4, singled and scored his last time up. 2 for 10 in his career against Osuna.
I would think Martin will stay away throughout the at-bat. Fastballs, sliders away.
Big cut and a foul back, 1-1.
Yeah, you got to keep these guys in a big part of the field, and you don't need to take a shot inside with Longoria. If you miss inside, you're going to give him a chance to tie it up. Just stay away, down and away, the toughest pitch to hit in baseball.
Crowd of better than 37,000 at Rogers Center tonight. As Longoria turns on one and sends it well foul down the 3rd baseline. Really got jammed there, and it's 1-2.
Yeah, they did come inside with the fastball. Longoria, all he could do was pull it foul.
So now they rise to their feet with the Blue Jays a strike away from victory. Down the right field line, but a fading foul. You could see where Martin put his glove up. his mitt up right before the pitch came in. He wanted that ball higher than Osuna threw it.
Yeah, and now he's got Longoria looking up, and he can come back with a slider down and away.
Osuna quickly has the sign he wants. 1-2. Throw that slider or cutter down, but Longoria gets a piece.
Yeah, and this is exactly what you want. You've got Longoria worried about the entire height of the strike zone. Top of the strike zone, bottom of the strike zone. Now he's really in a defensive mode.
Already 20 pitches thrown by Osuna. He's gotten the first 2 outs, and he's ahead of Longoria. Popped up. Goins. Ball game. The Blue Jays pick up a much-needed win. They come back, lose the lead, take it again on the home run by Russell Martin, and Roberto Osuna nails it down to the 9th. Kendry Morales drives in 4 on the 9th, and the Blue Jays are back within a game of 500.
Roberto Osuna picks up his 17th save in 20 opportunities, and Russell Martin had the big home run in the 8th inning, a leadoff home run in the 8th to give the Blue Jays the lead. And it was a good team effort overall. Everybody up and down the order doing their thing, and a terrific start for Liriano. Joe Smith will be a winning pitcher, but you can bet he would just soon have the hold and give that win to Liriano. But it's a team win for the Blue Jays, and they split the 2-game series.
And that will make the off day a little bit more enjoyable. They'll welcome the White Sox to town over the weekend. Time now for Sportsnet Central. Back to the studio again. Ken Reed and Brendan Dunlop.